Yeah, yes, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Karibuni kwa show yetu siku ya leo. It's my hope and I'm glad that muko vizuri. Yeah, so I feel the joy of the Lord today, despite the fact that we are every morning His Eminence Baba the Fifth, Raila Amolo Odinga. It is not something. If you told me that this week I would be mourning and celebrating the life well lived of His Eminence Raila Amolo Odinga, I could have refused. But now the issue is has happened, and until Mungu amfufue hatutaweza sasa kupatana na yeye tena. So that is the sad story which we have. So we have lost Raila Amolo Odinga, and we are now remembering him posthumously, and it's my hope that his beloved family will now be able to come into terms to this a lot. Na leo nimeona the body was brought today from India. So mimi sijui wale ambao walikuwa naona, I was expecting a public viewing, na niliuliza jana hiyo viewing itakuwa kama ile ya itakuwa kama ile ilikuanga ya kina Kibaki na kina Moi, wewe ambaye wanatoa mwili yote na wanaekelea hapo. It is something I was asking because that is our tradition, especially for these people we are giving state funeral. Tunatoa mwili yote tunawekelea hapo, and people just go around as they view the body. They go around as they view the body. Yeah, so Raila Odinga has died, and there are so many questions and controversies which are coming because even there is not enough details even in India. Hata kama leo nimeona kuna mtu ameshare, there is a video which was shared with me akifanywa CPR test. No, CPR, akifanywa CPR huko India. Somebody shared with us. Maybe I can show. Let me show. Somebody shared with us the video. So nasikia pia Oburu ndiye atakuwa amesimamia ODM. Sijui kama ni Raila alimwachia hiyo responsibility. So there are some videos which have surfaced. There are some videos which have surfaced. So although najua hata hizi videos zingine, that is the last, wanasema huyo ni baba akiwa India. Although I don't know how I can confirm that is an Indian photo. So that is, alafu na kuna ingine pia kofia ya baba imeingia. I wanted to, yeah, this, not this, like kofia. You know, there are so many activities happening today na lakini hii mazishi ya baba imekuwa so, yani even in a posthumous moment he is still wanting to become an enigma, mysterious one. Yani vitu hazieleweki kabisa. Ya Nobu Graduate karibu. Yani vitu even hata hii wakati ameaga, yani there are so many things which are not adding up. Sasa unajuza hii mambo ya baba ni nini? But ile kitu sijafurahia ni vile nasikia kuna bills mingi sana zimesainiwa na huyu Karuto. Yeah, so I don't know why, like nasikia ni kama hata hataki to tukuange online, but I don't know what to do because I hope tutakuwa tu tunakuja hapa. So I'm looking for that video somebody showed us of akifanywa CPR hii kufinyo ni kama alikuwa anaingizwa hewa, CPR test audio hii. So there's some somebody showed us that. Kuna mtu alituambia ati huyo ni baba anatolewa kwa gari hapo, ile bodyguard yako hapo. Ndio anawekelewa kwa kitanda hapo. Ndio that one is also another video which has been shared with us. I don't know why. That's another video which was shared with us. Anyway, karibuni sana. So Nobel, sijui kama umeweka hiyo Nobel from Nobel Peace Prize. Huyu ni Janet Mwangi. Hello everyone in the house, tumesalimika sana. So we are still continuing with the overthinking. Let me say that we are overthinking. Hii maneno ya baba sasa ni maneno ya ku-overthink sasa, kufikiria like because there are so many things which were never said. Some people are saying that he has been ailing, which is okay. We have gotten that information. But mimi ile swali kuu niko nayo sana leo ni kwa nini mwili haikuonwa leo? Because I think I've seen, I don't think like strategically tuliweza kuona mwili, na kama kuna mtu ako na video ya mwili ya baba mtu oneshe. So to the extent that Kenyans were tear gassed, I was not very pleased by that episode. So sijui kwa nini wa Kenya walikulishwa tear gas. So you can watch this. But anyway, sasa I think now we are slowly now accepting the reality.
And look at the difference.
With due respect or respectfully disagree with my co-panelist, it is not understandable. This one is somebody has to take responsibility. Who it is, I do not know. But it is not expected that Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, that his life will be lived in tear gas until up to his death. This is not forgivable. I don't think, as Kevin, I will agree that there is confusion, so we can have tear gas. No, as at the point in time when we changed the plan,
yes,
and we already said that yes, the context is hard; it has to be done within 72 hours. But I'm just imagining someone watching this in Singapore, Malaysia, and is interested in how Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga used to quote Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew and his dream about Vision 2030 and how Kenya would pick up from Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, etc. And then ultimately he's seeing over thousands of people, and you said 45,000. Probably there were more than that.
Oh, yeah, there were more than that.
And then kidogo pop. Tear gas. What is he thinking about, or what is that the lady thinking about in Tanzania here? Like President Magufuli's daughter, who has been eulogizing Raila all through, and might not probably be in Kenya, but is following through our national television stations, and then he's seeing tear gas.
We can share.
I don't agree that Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga must live in tear gas through his life and up to his death. So here, there is a failure of communication. Why was the body being taken to Kasarani?
Yes.
Some of my friends who are watching us here, like Oketo from Bondo, is telling me, ask them, why was the body being taken to Kasarani if now they don't want us to view the body? Now, moving it further is what kind of plans did they put in place? Because they could already have seen that from the highways, the CBD is closed, by the way, since yesterday at 1 a.m., 1 p.m., or was it 10 a.m.
Yes.
when the announcement came over. Now, the CBD has been at a standstill. So,
Yes.
So therefore, what is this thing that we are calling understandable? What is this thing we are calling lack of communication? I didn't hear, and I'm hoping you will ask Ontumo whether they are public address. I didn't hear, as we kept even insisting and pushing this message to some of those channels. Play Raila's music, play Raila's voice, calm the crowd. I don't know whether they ultimately installed a public address because, okay, you take us there, then what is the format? How do we start? How do we organize? Which gate? Because Kasarani has hosted, as we saw, huge numbers.
Yeah.
Every time Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga had rallies, they always ended at Kasarani. But none of them ended in tear gas that now we want to treat him with at his point of death. There should have been a proper planning. And our military, honestly, can be able to do better than this. And that's why I said, I know that there is a heavy planning going on, but that coordination, why do we have a national planning committee? It is to think through, the CDF is here, the party leader of ODM acting is here, the secretary of ODM is here, the president's team is here, the church, because at least a prayer, the choir, who is going to organize the choir to be able to sing, come down and provide those solemn songs.
Yes.
There is some detailed planning that goes. It's not just a matter of saying, I know people are many, now we are going to Kasarani. And I feel very offended because we are treating Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga like probably as my co-panelist is saying that there is somebody who wants to play politics, which I don't think is the right time to play politics of victimizing Raila Odinga.
Yes.
That is a man who has thrived in chaos. So even his public viewing has to be done in chaos. I don't think that is a proper narrative for Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, because he's a gentleman that we have called the unifier, the Pan-African.
Yeah.
It can't be that now our military cannot be able to organize people. What is the public image of those who are watching? And from the president's voice, he said, now the military is taking over, is going to be given state burial with all the artifacts and everything. And this is not how our very well-respected military, if you are to bring in GSU, if you are to bring in everyone, we have proper, very highly skilled, institutions that can be able to manage the crowd and be able to organize this thing so that it looks very nice and allow Kenyans to mourn Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga in a very respectable way. So this is not understandable. I think the failure of communication is evident. And I think even post this, there are people I will ask what really happened, because had Baba been there, you guys have organized massive rallies at Kasarani before. What didn't you do? Who dropped the gun? What didn't happen? Come on, a public address. We already said the people who used to invest in Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga's campaigns should have brought in a public address. I didn't see the ODM media van. It means that there's a problem. Yes, Azimio TV has done very well, and it is one team. I know the people who work there. They've done very well to provide the coverage. But communication, even from the airport to all these things, when Baba used to come from the airport, there is a music that used to be played. We don't want to agree that those were just campaign songs. And even if they were campaign songs, there are areas that did not address campaign issues. Cut the songs, like we said here with Mheshimiwa Speaker. We are living in an area of regime of context of AI. Cut the songs and make them meaningful. As you play them and people are dancing, and these are people who have not eaten, they are hungry, they are frustrated, they are mourning. Some of them will get tired, they will fall off the train and say, hey, me nisha dance ya kutosha, because I know it is possible that you will dance until you get tired, you get thirsty, there is no water. And you go home, and it's a way of letting go of the crowd. So this one, I think the National Planning Committee of Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, you owe Kenyans and the world an apology and an explanation on this one.
A quick one, something I wanted to ask Kevin, and we've seen it throughout the day. What is the symbolism of the leaves that you carry when, in the Luo culture?
Yeah.
What does it symbolize?
It basically means one, okay, it could mean a number of things, but three top things. One is solidarity, that we are with you, I am with you, I empathize and sympathize with you at the same time. So solidarity aspect. And then number two is basically that I am coming in peace. I have nothing against you.
Yes.
I am one of you. And even if you were to do anything to me, the much I can do is just a leave. And then three is basically a symbol of union. And I think from yesterday is a question that I've been asked by some of my friends as well. You know, yesterday on some of the roads,
Yes.
the young men would not allow you to pass without a leave. And as I was coming here, I told you earlier on, I was also forced to get a leave because they had blocked Nyayo, the roundabout at Nyayo House. So no vehicles were going towards Parliament. But then I told them, it's me, Kevin.
Yeah, Moringa is saying that Uhuru handled 2 state funerals, so she thinks that Uhuru can do it well. So I don't know who is the chairman. I don't know who is the chairman of or the coordinator. Nasikia ni Kindiki, and I think Kindiki had an opportunity to shine. Lakini sasa inaoneshana Kindiki is one of the poorest planners of anything in this life. So I don't know why. I think already what has happened today should tell them more. Like that barrier, things are not adding up. So many things are, and I don't know. I also heard that they tear gassed the people, and also they shot somebody. So ikifika sasa we are celebrating a life lost, and then we lose others. Hiyo sasa nayo ni ujinga. In fact, hii viewership ya baba hapa, if these people are not going to be cautious the way they are handling this thing, this thing can detonate into a maandamano. Haya, wasiseme hatuko waambia. Let me put power. Whatever is happening in the Baba dichotomy can become maandamano. And I actually predict maandamano in Kenya. It might not be this week, but wiki hii ama hiyo wiki ingine, there could be maandamano mbaya sana Kenya. Anyway, wacha tuangalie tuone. So that's what I'm trying to say. That planning was very poor. Na mimi sioni serikali ya Ruto ikiwa na uwezo wa kuhandle hii mazishi. Let's just agree that baba atazikwa na confusion mpaka mwisho. They introduce confusion and they will live by confusion. So mimi kwa muonekano wangu mimi sioni hii mazishi ya baba tukipewa ile mazishi ya ardhi, ile mazishi ambayo mnaweza sema huyu mzee wetu amezikwa na. I think Ruto tried to show, and I don't, mimi sijui kwa nini Ruto akiguza kila kitu inasambaratika. I don't know why Ruto thought that he could have handled this barrier, and he can't. I wish Ruto left. I don't know, but you know, when a regime is bad, they always wape. Na mimi nawaambia ukweli hapa, Ruto regime will not be able to handle mazishi ya baba, na tuko hapa na nyinyi. Kesho confusion ingine, siku ya mazishi confusion ingine. I want to tell you, they have no capacity. Sio kupenda kwao. These people are not, they don't know anything. Haya, msimamo nimemaliza. Na kuambia Ruto hawezi ando mazishi ya baba ama mazishi of that style. So mimi hata ile kitu, ile uzuni niko nayo ni sababu siku ya mazishi madignitaries watakuja, watu kutoka mainchi tofauti. Unataka kuniambia hata watu watakuja wakianzia kuona hivi mazishi narushwa tia ngazi saa hii? Unataka kuniambia mtu atatoka Senegal akuje hapa stadium? So ile picha tunatoa, they need to know that hii picha tunaoneshana hapa, hata mataifa za nango, kuna mtu hata ako Poland anataka kukuja mazishi ya baba, kuna mtu ako Germany anataka kukuja mazishi ya baba. Unataka kuniambia hao watu watakuja wakiwa wanaona tianga? This regime needs to style up. Msimamo endelea.
Asante ndugu yangu Njiru na wale ambao wanatusikiliza. Nichukue fursa hii kwanza kuomboleza na wenzangu, haswa wale wenye nia swafi, wazalendo wa kweli, ambao kwa hakika jambo hili limewagusa, lakini vile vile kikubwa zaidi, familia ya mwenda zake baba, kwa maana mimi langu kubwa naamini siku ikifika haina jadi na haina jinsi. Hilo tu ndio kubwa, kwamba siku ikifika hata uzungukwe na wangapi na waganga wangapi, madaktari wangapi, Mungu akisema hii ni safari, ni safari. Kwa hivyo hilo ndilo kubwa zaidi, kwanza la kumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa sababu katimiza la kwake, na kwa kawaida mwisho wa jambo ndio mwanzo wa jambo. Hivyo ni matumaini yangu kwamba hakika sauti yake, mapenzi ya mwenda zake kwa ajili ya taifa lake, matarajio yake, lakini vile vile haswa na hamasa na ujasiri na ukakamavu aliokuwa nao mwenda zake huyu mheshimiwa, haswa kiongozi baba wa demokrasia, hauna jinsi ya kupingwa. Maana huko ndo tutakapoelekea, kusimama kwa ajili ya taifa, kujitolea kwa ajili ya taifa, na kuhakikisha kwamba taifa linarudi haswa katika hali yake, ili heshima na maono ya huyu mwenda zake hakika siku moja apate kutimilika, kwamba taifa hili limekuwa lenye tija, limerudi haswa katika muundo wa kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu anajisikia amani, anajisikia huru. Kwa hiyo mimi kikubwa Njiru ambacho nitakizungumzia ni kwamba juzi tulikuwa hapa nikasema ni ngumu kubana kikohozi, ni ngumu kubana kikohozi, lazima utakohoa tu. Nikafunga na hiyo kauli. Siku yake ya pili kweli kikohozi kikatokea mapema tu subuhi. Kwa hiyo kwa jinsi ambavyo haya mambo yamekuwa Njiru, ni dhahiri shahidi kwamba naungana na wewe kwamba mwanzo mbovu mwisho mbovu huu, mwanzo mbovu na mwisho mbovu, kwa sababu ukitazama kwa jicho la ndani zaidi, kunyamazika kwa mambo ambayo alikuwa amenyamazika, yaani ukiambiwa India, ukifuatilia jinsi India matibabu alivyokuwa na maneno alivyokuwa, unakuta kuna maswali mengi tu kwenye akili, hadi kutangazwa kwa hiki kifo. Ukitazama the way mambo yalivyo, kuna vitu vingi hapa chini ambavyo vinakosa majibu, ambacho Mkenya kitu ambacho Mkenya wa kawaida kama mimi, ama mfuasi mkubwa ambaye nimeweza kumfuata mzee kwa kutokana na misingi yake, na pia kunijenga haswa kusimama katika ujasiri, na kushindwa kupata majibu. Ukitazama kauli za kabla hayajatangazwa haya maneno, zinagongana. Huyu anasema lake, yule kesho anasema lake, yule naye kesho anasema lake. Lakini ukitazama hata hiyo kauli ya kule mahali ambapo alikuwa amepelekwa kisani matibabu, pia nako unashindwa. So haya maneno hayaelezeki haswa, tangia mwanzo yamekoseka, na kama kimekoseka hapo mwanzo, basi kinakuwa ni kubambanya tu. Ni sawasawa na nguo ya viraka, nguo iliyochoka unabandika viraka, lakini mwisho wa siku tu haitarudi kuwa mpya. So ni kama yale ambayo tumeweza kuyashuhudia sasa katika baada ya kuwasili kwa huu mwili wa mwenda zake baba, mipango ilivyopangika. Mfano, mimi sikuwa naona haja kwamba ile ndege ingetua mchana ingetua usiku, alafu kukapangwa mazishi, kukapangwa ulinzi wa kutosha, wananchi wakapewa nafasi ya kuweza kutimiza hilo, kwa sababu halianzi kwa huyu mwenda zake. Tumelishuhudia kwa viongozi wengi ambao haswa wameweza kuondoka na kufanywa hii state funeral, lakini sasa ni mambo ya haraka haraka, mwananchi hajapata majibu, na kuna hilo wimbi kwamba wamkumbuke kwamba baba alikuwa amebeba nyoyo za Wakenya wengi tu. So majibu ya maswali yao hayajaonekana, hakuna kitulizo cha maana, mara sauti hii mara sauti hii. So kwa kweli mimi naungana na kauli yake, unasema hajatendewa haki mzee, na kwa kweli pia mimi naona hajatendewa haki, kwa sababu yale ambayo yamejiri haswa pale Kasarani, badala ya kuomboleza tunaongeza msiba. Italeta picha gani nje kwa wale ambao wanakuja kutuangalia? Maana huku kwetu tuna msemo kwamba kilio na mwenyewe, usipolia wewe mwenyewe ndio umefiliwa na umenyamaza, naye kuja naye si atabidi anyamaze tu. So kwa hali hii tayari nimeonyesha hiyo tafsira ya kwamba mambo hayaja kuwa mambo, na siku zote usijaribu kubandika, ni bora kudanganya kulipo kutengeneza ukweli wa uongo. Yaani ni bora tu kule kudanganya moja kwa moja kuliko kubambanya ukweli wa uongo. Sasa huu ni ukweli wa uongo, na ndio maana mambo yanaenda hivi, lugha zinagongana. Mimi nitambinazia kwa kusema hivi Njiro, hili litatimilika kwa sababu ni mpango wa Mungu, lakini Wakenya linatufundisha nini? Maana kukaa na nyoka kwa nyumba kwa sababu umemzoea, hana maneno, kila siku namuona ndipo anapokaa, lakini kumbe usiku ananyemelea vifaranga na vidona, alafu anarudi hapo hapo. Ukiamka usiku vifaranga vya kuku vimekufa, na ukimwangalia rafiki yako nyoka yuko hapo hapo mahali ulimwacha jana kabla hujalala. Akishamazana na vifaranga ama mambo yakienda sivyo haswa huko, basi atamdona hata jogoo ama koo. Sasa unashangaa nani anamaliza hawa kuku wangu? Kumbe ni huyo jirani hapo juu ya nyumba ambayo umemweka. So hataweza kubadilika kurudi kwamba yeye ni mwenzako. Mtu yati mwenye asili yake ni ngumu. So kwa kuamini mtu ambaye hakika unajua wazi huyu sometimes ni balaa. So ni mambo ya kujifunza kwamba si siku zote tu utaamini kwamba ofisi huyu amekaa hapa tumemzoea, kwa hivyo huyu hana tabia hizi. Mwisho atarudi atakula mbuzi tu, ukimchanganya na mbuzi yeye atakula mbuzi tu. Kwa hiyo hilo ndio kubwa ambalo nataka tujifundishe kwamba never ever trust a smiling face, hata kama ndio kuna utaifa ndani, lakini tazama kwanza ni nani unaungana naye haswa ili kuendeleza azma. Wakina nani wamenizunguka, alafu ndo unafanya maamuzi aliyonatija. So mimi ni kumwambia tu mzee wetu haswa apumzike mahali pema peponi. Amelipigania taifa, amebadilisha tafsira ya siasa ya taifa letu, ameuleta uhuru wa vyama vyote vingi tu. Haikuwa rahisi, maana chama kilikuwa kimoja, na mengi ambayo ameweza kuyafanya katika hili taifa itabaki kumbukumbu moyoni mwa wengi na vizazi vingi vijavyo. Lakini nani wa kutimiza ndoto za mzee? Ni sisi wananchi, kwa kuyafanya maamuzi yaliyo na tija na kuweza kutofumbia macho yasiyofaa. Kisingizio la hela, kisingizio ama ni mtu wetu, kisingizio ni hivi. Tusimame haswa kuhakikisha kwamba tunalibadilisha taifa hili kwa kuweza kuyaendeleza yale ambayo mzee wetu ametuachia. Mwisho kabisa nimemsikiza Sudi hapa nikataka kucheka kidogo. Sudi anasema mimi hakuna mambo watu watakinyagana maboko akisumu, so ni bora tuweke TV ya kutosha, watu tuomboleze hapo, tuangalie hapo mpaka patakapozikwa. Alafu ngana jiuliza wasiwasi ni wa nini? Mwambie anayejisikia kwenda Kisumu aende. Akile kwamba kutakuwa na watu wengi mkanyagano, kwa hivyo hapana. Nitachia hapo kaka yangu Njiru, mla sina mengi leo tu. Uchungu ni uchungu wa kumpoteza kiongozi bwana, uchungu sana, lakini hatuna budi ila kumshukuru Mungu. Asante.
Ya, ni kweli, na nashukuru kwa mchangio wako, and it's my hope that Wakenya tutaweza kufika katika hali ya kuweza kukubali huu msiba, sababu umetendeka, ni msiba mkubwa sana. Nimeona hata Mr. Neutral Belfast amenitumia picha ambayo pia imeniweka huzuni sana. Belfast, pole sana, hata sisi tunahuzunika, lakini umeniweka majonzi wakati umeniambia the last time ulilia hivyo it is in 1997, na ukanionyesha picha ya huyo msichana wa Kimarikia, Princess Diana. So sijui relationship, although si lazima ati uzunike mtu sababu unamjua ama uko na relationship. So lakini inaonekana pia ulikuwa na usuhuba wa ndani na huyo mama Princess Diana. Ni kweli, whatever has happened to Raila Odinga is not easy. Even at old age, you don't want to see people exit there. Like kifo ni jambo ambalo tunakataa sana. Belfast, karibu na utuambie how you are handling the grief. Maybe inaweza saidia mwingine. Thank you. Belfast, go ahead.
Thank you. Like everybody else, I salute all Kenyans and all Pan-Africanists who believe in the cause of changing our continent, peacefully. One of the goals that Raila stood for, and unfortunately, we cannot predict that this will continue. When I say Raila Odinga, I mean so many Kenyans who died to fight for freedom, second and first liberation. He is just a symbol of the same. There are so many Kenyans that we have not celebrated the way we have celebrated Raila Odinga. So many Kenyans who were tortured in the death chambers of Nyayo House, the prisons in different parts of Kenya. And these people, many of them, we don't even know their names, but there were many that were tortured and never seen the light of day during Moi's time, Kenyatta's time, and even Kibaki's time. There were thousands of young people who were politically called Mungiki, but they were young people who were just used for the wrong purposes. All these regimes, what they have done has been opposed by people, the same way Raila Odinga carried the flag of opposition. So he was just symptomatic of what Kenyans do to fight for freedom. And that's why I feel that today I'm not celebrating just the strength of Raila, but of those people who were butchered by these regimes, fighting in the same way Mr. Odinga was fighting. I cannot justify anything else that people found wrong with Mr. Odinga, because he's not perfect. Nobody is perfect. But what I can say is that he has led a movement that has changed the continent. A friend of mine from Ivory Coast phoned me yesterday, and he was very cheerful and laughing and celebrating the death of Raila Odinga. He came from the bandwagon of Laurent Gbagbo. So this guy is a refugee. He was in the army in Ivory Coast during Laurent Gbagbo's time, and at the time when Raila and I think it was Dos Santos, they had traveled as a part of the United Nations peacekeeping when Gbagbo was butchering people in Ivory Coast, and they ended up in ICC. This person there yesterday called me celebrating because he said that the Ivory Coast people, wale walikuwa kwa mrengo wa Gbagbo, they were celebrating yesterday. That's fine. You know, everyone has a right to express their hopes, fears, and, you know, triumph. But we ended up closing our conversation by saying that he was a great statesman. I know that one of the things that has really upset me in the past is the passing on of Princess Diana of Wales, because this woman, she fought against landmines in Africa, especially Angola, Mozambique, openly. Baka, you know, when you have conspiracy theories, this one was not a conspiracy. People know that that woman, even though she came from a royal background, the fight she did against the military industrial complex, you know, walikuwa wanatengeneza hizo vitu alafu zibomoe milango za watu, miguu, kila kitu. Yani, until today there are people in Angola and Mozambique who just walk with half a limb. And this woman, she decided to politicize her position. I was involved in a charity organization that worked closely with her. At that time, I was a young person. I mean, I came to London at the age of 19. So we're talking about 1997. Within 4 or 5 years, I was already doing things in London to project the aims of our people, you know, to talk about our Pan-African strength and fight against brutality, present-day brutality then, which included this thing of landmines. And she took that campaign seriously. When that woman died in 1997, August, I think, 31st, it's not just these Wazungus who are touched by this, but it is what she did that, you know, those royal people, they don't do things like that. They don't politicize their work, if they work at all. It's what I see with Raila Amolo Odinga. This man was a billionaire. The West, they called him a communist. The Americans called him a communist. Some of the Europeans, they addressed him as a Marxist because they felt that his socialist principles, kama hizi zile za juzi vile alikuwa anatamka maneno ya baba care and free money for jobless youth and single mothers. Those are things that the West, they did not like at all. Sorry, Njiru, if I'm taking time. But the other day, the last... Yeah. I've been watching your program here for a while, the last couple of days and weeks, and people speak here for 1 hour nonstop. I'm always afraid of, you know, coming in because when I speak for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, they shut me down. But today I'll try my best, and you can stop me when you want. I want to...
Today I want you to grieve and you speak your heart. So hakuna mtu atakusimamisha.
I'm not really grieving. I'm not really grieving because I've done that and I've moved on. I am very angry. Today, me and Shiko, we were talking, Pana, on the phone. She cried. Shiko cried like a baby. You know, who Shiko wetu anakuanga hapa. You know Shiko very well. A very strong woman. Alilia mpaka hata nikasikia vibaya sana. I was worried about her, and that affected me personally. You know, for 1 hour. Because here ninaishi, huyu mzungu ajui ninalia kwa nini, ajui ni kitu gani kimenishinda, watoto pia wako hapa. Yani, I was affected. Because the last 2 days, I have not been thinking about this. It's been like a dream. I received a text that morning saying that, can you confirm this? And I said, how can I confirm this? What are you talking about? So I said, okay, after all, Mr. Odinga was 80. And that means he has tried his best. But I then just decided, msimamo hiyo tuache tu. Nikasema tu hiyo ni sawa. Lakini leo asubuhi ikaniingia moyo, nikasikia vibaya sana. So I decided to read comments on Facebook and all these social media. I can see that even people who think that they hated Raila, they did not really hate him as such. I believe that the whole country, we have been suffering a nightmare. Not just Mr. Odinga himself, but the country. We have just been suffering a nightmare. We're deluded. Every time we think we're going to win, there is some kind of a thing, a cartel, which is in charge of us. Even now, unawaona tu pale tu vile ati they are crying. Those leaders. You know, this is the best time to change the government. Let me not lie. This is the best, and if this time is the time that they cannot change a government, it will never change. You know, Mr. Ruto will be on that seat for another 7 years, whether we like it or not. These people are schemers, and they are not acting as if they're afraid. They are schemers. Yani, ni watu ambao, yani, kujaribu kuwaelewa ni shida. You don't have to want to understand them. You have to do something. Look at what they did in Madagascar the other day. They elected a DJ to become president. The DJ fooled around, and then it became a scum of the earth. The people had enough. And here we are in our situation where we are supposed to be Africa's leading light in freedom of speech, apart from South Africa. But everything we do is being squandered. Yani, imagine a guy signing a bill when the leading light of freedoms and democracy is fallen, and this guy, he's penning a bill against social media, CG communications, CG what. I am telling you, Bonanjiru, that even if it doesn't happen now, that the people decide to change this country, what I know is that these people who were hanging off the coattails of Mr. Odinga, they will not see parliament, they will not become governors, they will not be anywhere near power, and it will be the same as those people who hated him. There is a band of leadership here that is not coming back. Now, what we need to think about right now is then who is going to fill this vacuum. You know, me, I am so bitter when I see someone like Babu Owino, this Paul Ongili, these yani people are wanamshangilia huu mtu. Do you see what I'm saying? There are people in Kasarani, when they saw Babu Owino, they were happy. This is the new Democrat, Babu Owino, this Paul Ongili. Yani, this is what now the Luos are going to see as their champion, this criminal. And it's going to happen. It's already happening. And not just Luos. Yani, Kenyans at large, yani, young people, they see Babu Owino as a virtue. This Paul Ongili, this one who should be in jail. I don't hate him as a person. I hate his actions, what he did. He's a con man. People know that he is like there's these other aspirin dealers. We just think that this is the type of person. Me, I vouch for David Maraga. Even if you want to shoot me, Maraga is my person. But I know he will be nowhere near changing Kenya because Kenyans will not allow him. They'll want someone like Paul Ongili, Babu Owino. Because we are that cheap. We are not ready. We are not ready for change. Because when you see those masses today in Kasarani, that is the person they saw as a leader to take over from Raila Odinga. No. Hiyo hapana. Na hata mkitaka mchukue huyo akuwe kiongozi wenu, shauri yenu. Shauri yenu. Me, I would rather we people of Nyanza, we stay out of this politics for 20 years. We need to reprogram ourselves. We need to reboot ourselves. Stay away from this thing where every time we're trying to get power. It's not for us. We can do other things. Our man, he fought for us and he fought for Kenyans. Even now, you hear some Luo saying Siji Raila Odinga was not a Luo, he's a Luya, Siji what, because, those tribal things. There is some figment of history where the Odinga clan, they've always said they belong to the Nabongos. But the Nabongos are Kenyans, they're Ugandans, they're Africans. But people now want to say that he is not a Luo. So what? They say the same thing when Tom Mboya died. The OSG was raised in Thika, and all that. The Kikuyus loved him. What I saw today in Kasarani, the people cheering for Paul Ongili, aka Babu Owino. We have a very big problem. And I will not change anyone's mind here. If that's the person you see as the new CG is going to fit in Raila's shoes, or you get another. If you really want to get someone, and that's the person you want, okay, that's fine. Chukueni huyo, shauri yenu. Me, all I saw was a person trying to kill another person, and the video is there. And this is the person you want to become your leader. We need to start thinking about who is going to be leading the opposition. I am comfortable with the virtues of Kalonzo Musyoka. I have never had a problem with this leader. He is a fantastic person to lead the country. But again, the cartels that have gone around Raila Odinga and all these other people, they are there with Kalonzo. I don't know what we are going to do. Do we need a military person like Ibrahim Traore? Have we even thought about this? It's not a crime to think about this. I have spoken about this openly, even when I'm back home in Kenya. People speak about this openly. It's not a crime to think about this because that person will be a Kenyan anyway. What is it that we need? Because right now, after this event of Raila Odinga's burial, there is going to be big, I think, near revolutionary changes in the country. And it will not just sweep Nyanza, it will be a national movement. But we need to be careful. Who is this person? Because if we get the wrong person, we are in serious trouble, all of us. And I pray to you guys that it is not Paul Ongili. Paul Ongili can run for Nairobi governor what he likes, that's his problem. Lakini ati Paul Ongili wants to rule the country. Even he wants to be the leader of ODM. No. We will decide as a people to fight against that. Me, I don't want a person like Paul Ongili. He reminds me of Alias and Joho and all these other characters. No. Hiyo hapana. There are people there who are suffering because their kids are being fed with narcotics because of these types of leaders. And you see people in Kasarani who pretend that they don't know Paul Ongili and they're accepting him. Yani, leo hapo Kasarani jana tuseme, they ordained Paul Ongili to be the person who is going to be the youth leader for Kenya. In that group, there were not just Luos in that Kasarani. And I don't even think that Paul Ongili paid people to go there. No, they wanted him. I am sorry that now I am not talking about Raila Odinga. We have shed enough tears. Enough is enough. Raila asked to be buried within 72 hours. It's not going to happen because if it's 72 hours, it's supposed to be, tomorrow, Saturday morning. And it is his best wishes. There are conspiracy theories, yani niliona kwa hiyo WhatsApp group bwana Njiru, hapo mumefanya vibaya sana. Unaona, the person is dead, okay? What answer do you want from his death? He's 80 years old. Do you want, people are saying, why didn't his wife go to India? To do what? You want proof from the family that he didn't die or what? It's like you want the family to prove to you that he died in Kenya. And then what? Some of his closest allies, like Mr. Sifuna, said he spoke to Raila Odinga the night before he died. Why should Sifuna lie to people about that? What is so difficult to understand about that? Why do we have to debate about that? Why? Msingi ya shida yetu ni kwamba we were living under a thorough dictatorship of Moi and Jomo Kenyatta. So that when change comes, it is so difficult to transit from that change. And I think that affects us generally as a people. And so it makes me understand how people feel when there is tragedy. And that one there comforts me. But what I would really beg Kenyans is, please don't make a mistake of banding up with some people who will now totally, make our country a total banana republic, that cannot stand on its legs. Imagine people are going to, Gamal Abdel Nasser, the first leader of modern Egypt after independence. That was the largest funeral ever not in the Guinness books, but around that period, 6 to 7 million people attended Nasir's funeral. Those things that you saw in Kasarani, they are bound to happen in any funeral like that. People will die. At Gamal Abdel Nasir's funeral, people died. I am not saying that Ruto's government had the right to shoot innocent people at Kasarani. They're trigger happy anyway. Okay? But such a thing should have been organized in a better way. They knew that there was going to be hundreds of thousands of people piling at Kasarani complex. They knew that, right? But things like that is supposed to be managed by whichever regime is in power. They mismanaged the whole thing. They treated him like a piece of trash. But to me, I believe in science. I don't believe in karma or anything like that. I don't believe in any faith groups and anything like that. I believe if someone dies, they need to be buried as soon as possible. For Raila Odinga, he requested that he should be buried as soon as possible. He probably predicted, he knew what kind of processions were going to take place. He does not want to interrupt the economy, but people don't want him to go. You should read a post by a friend of mine called Judina Christie. She's a girl from Central Muranga. She's from Muranga, and she lives in Italy. A good friend of mine. She has written a very pure essay about the national tragedy and how the nation has been orphaned and how it is so difficult for people because inside people, we have this thing where our economy is ravaged, our politics is bad, we're led by the most corrupt people. And then when the person who has been fighting for us is gone, we don't want him to go. As simple as that. So she gives a psychosocial analysis about the nation as a country, what we are experiencing. And she's not pointing fingers that we are like this, we're like that. She's saying that we're in a long transition, which is what I've been talking about here, Brother Njiru, and Simamo. I've been talking about this long transition. Never mind the one of Jomo Kenyatta. Iya Moi, it's a long transition. It's a difficult change that is still affecting Kenyans up to today. And I know this in real time, how it is affecting our people, Kenyans, today. We have to be prepared to change this country in a way that we have never done before. I am telling you how our country is so corrupt. And I will say, I'll take 2 minutes to talk about this before I wrap up about the late Honorable Raila Odinga. So a few months ago, I was preparing a research thing to compile about Kenya. And one of the people that I wanted to interview was none other than Mr. Ruto. The Mr. Ruto that we used to know when he was in ODM back in 2005 and all that. Mr. Ruto, back in the day, some of us, we still have his number, the same number that he has now. All these people you see, Kinasirma, all those people. People we, as young people, we associated with them back in the day when ODM was Uhuru, Raila, Ruto, Kina Mudavadi, all those people, all these cartels. I requested an interview. Okay, you know, you can write someone's biography. You can do a chapter in an edited book about one person. You don't have to ask them permission, but you can try. And then I was given the number of this former police spokesperson, Charles Owino. His genuine number, genuine, not ati ukora. I found him because he's now in charge of communications in the government. Kina Itumbi, they answer to him. So Charles Owino on the phone, at yo, sijui nini nini, how much can you give us? You know, these are people who operate in state house. How much can you give us? You know, when you're in diaspora, some people think you're earning millions. You're a truckload of money. That's what they think. Because our people, they give that impression to our brothers and sisters back home. I said, no, Mr. Owino, you know, if I want to phone Ruto, I have his number here. If he doesn't answer, that's fine. But what I want is to interview him. You are in charge of his protocol for communications. Is that okay? These people, they took me for a ride for a couple of days. And one day, they decided, you are going to interview the president at 3 p.m. But first, you will have to speak to one Dennis Itumbi. But before you speak to Itumbi, you will have to pay the technical fee. You know, there's in State House, they have ways of raising money from such requests. You know, that's presidential this, presidential that. Of course, Ruto doesn't know. Maybe he knows. But, you know, small time money, these characters are asking for. Small time money. 10,000 here, 15,000 there, you know, Kenya shillings. And as you know, the price keeps going up. There's that one, CG, for the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is a metaphor, and Itumbi was the gatekeeper. So I was asked to give him 10,000 shillings, and Owino was asking for 15,000 shillings for his pocket. You know? You see, I was stunned, you know. I could not believe it, because it is actually Itumbi's number, his real number. And it is Owino's number, not at a fake. You know, mpaka in my mind, I was thinking, how is it this possible? These people, is this how they behave to people they have never even met? Me, I've never met Itumbi or Owino. Never. But what about the people they know, if this is what they do to strangers? So I was stunned, and I decided to call one of my brothers back in Kenya, and I said to them, I'm giving you some 2 numbers. You phone and see whether you can verify Truecaller and all this, and see kama hao ni hao watu. It was them. And other people even found them. Ni hao kabisa. It showed me something. You know, I didn't want to pursue this because, of course, when you pursue such things, these characters can end up tracking the numbers of your family members back there, and doing what they did to Ojwang, that young fellow who was killed in Homa Bay. It is very sad state of affairs that we're in. And that is why when Mr. Rigathi Gachagua speaks, I really don't have any patience for Rigathi Gachagua. But the things that he says, even if sometimes he inflates them a little bit, I believe that they're true. Honestly. Because I ask myself, why would he want to say this anyway? Because how is it going to help him? But Kenyans are the characters who do not want to accept what Mr. Gachagua is saying. And so you ask yourself, is the problem Mr. Gachagua? Is the problem Raila Odinga, who Kenyans listened to, but they did not want to believe the things he was saying? Is the problem these people who are whistleblowers? Or is it our problem? So I gave you the example of Itumbi and Owino. They both blocked me from their phones after they received that money. Indeed, I sent money, and I didn't call it I'm trying to bribe you. I said, I'm trying to thank you for leading me the way to interview your president, which did not happen. So the thing what these people do is to commercialize State House. And you have seen newspaper articles, especially the Standard, which is owned by Gideon, who is now pretending to lap it around with Ruto. They have been highlighting the way State House functions. And it's despicable that Kenyans cannot understand the truths about this. Honestly, I want us to be free as a people, because I think at the moment we are not free in Njiru. Because I believe this. I believe we're not free. From Judina Christie's Facebook post about, she psychoanalyzed Kenyans and during this time, and said that the problem is that we have always tried to be free, but every time we have tried to be free, we still are not free. That we have lost hope. It is so difficult. It's so entrenched. I blame Daniel Arap Moi. I think I would blame Jomo Kenyatta, but Daniel Arap Moi, his presidency was so intense that he normalized everything. Corruption was normalized. Kila kitu, kuua was okay. And then it is so difficult for the next few leaders to begin to change change that program. And so the more people like Raila Odinga spoke about these things, the more they became the enemies of the people, because people did not appreciate the fact that this was the truth. And then my last point is, how is it that we are expecting change when Raila Odinga tried so much? He tried mpaka, he gave up. He tried mpaka, he gave up. He gave up. He said, okay, this is it. Enough is enough. This man was 79 or 78 when the Gen Zs were trying to overthrow the regime. And the Gen Zs, they told him, please, sir. Remember that woman, that young girl, she was 17. I hope she gets into parliament. I've seen in social media, people have rubbished her. She said that, please, Raila Odinga, stay home. Don't come to this demonstration. But he stayed home. And we expected something. But this something did not happen. So we need to strategize. How is it that it is possible to change the regime in Kenyan politics? How? Because you will see what will happen when Mr. Odinga is being buried. People will clap, they will say all those stupid fake stories, and then they will go back to their shells and they will brutalize Kenyans again for the next 3 years before the elections. This is the time, I swear, this is the time that these youthful leaders can come up, yani constituency by constituency by constituency, if it means that we have to use TikTok, I'm not a fan of TikTok, but maybe I need to start going there. We need to start talking to the youth, constituency by constituency, to take power. To take power. I don't care if you are a Mijikenda, a Kikuyu, a Giriama, a Randile, sijui what. I don't care. To take power. Constituency after constituency, youth. And in fact, they can use Raila. They can say, the way you used Raila nationally, people used him nationally. Amason Kingis, wote kina Wetangu. I'm telling you, there's no one in that parliament who did not use Raila Odinga. They all did it. Yani, it's a generational campaign where people can say, Raila is dead. It's a fresh page. I'm telling you, if that campaign is spoken of like this, Kenya will change instantly. Because you tell me, who is the majority of the voters? Is it not Gen Zs? What is it? It's not. How many people are in their 60s, 70s? 70s, not many. So it is actually young people. They will go and say they want to take power nationally. And I hope that this is what happens before and after the funeral of Raila Amolo Odinga. Unfortunately, in his family, I will say this for free, he does not have a similar person like himself. There used to be one Fidel Odinga, who was nearly the same as his father in terms of his campaigns, the way he did his things. He was not perfect. The problem people have with Winnie Odinga is that, number one, she's very young, a bit naive about politics. She's very ideological, maybe utopian. Yeah. She has a good head, but kizungu mingi itasumbua watu na Winnie Odinga. She's a very sharp girl, but she cannot maintain where her father did. So let's not talk about family inheritance of politics. That one there, you can leave to the people of Kasipul, Kabondo. They can elect the son of that former MP Jiwere. But hii ya Raila, hii yetu, tusisikie ati tunapata mtu wa kutoka kwa family ya Odinga nienda sasa anachukua ushukani. Hiyo hapana. There is no one in Raila's family who is like him. No. That one I can say for free. Hata wasijaribu. In fact, people like Oburu, they should pack their bags and go. And I am so shocked. Imagine that Raila Odinga died before Oburu Odinga. And that one there, that one has killed me. Hiyo imeniua kabisa. Ati Oburu Odinga is there, ati he's calling himself a youth leader. Well, this man has never done anything to his constituents. He's busy out there at he's a youth leader.
He is now the leader of ODM. Are you aware of that?
You know, leave Kina SG, governor of Mombasa, they're talking rubbish.
They wamemfanya acting leader. Let me ask you a question, Bwana Belfast, as you say. We saw, tuliona hiyo story ya Babu Wino vile alipokewa. Like, what attributes are this? Like, hata vile like vile wale watoto ama wale watu walikuwa wanasherekea Babu Wino, Is it from his history? Ama like what made them to celebrate him? Ni trigger gani?
Babu Owino knows how. I don't even call him Babu Owino. These people, they have their real names. His name is Paul Ongili. You know that PLO Lumumba is not PLO Lumumba. It's Lodge Otieno. So this Paul Ongili is charismatic. That one we can give it to him. And he did not tell people to turn up to cheer for him. I don't think so. I just think that it's a very dangerous thing to do. In fact, you know, Paul Ongili is from Kisumu. Yeah. You know, he found himself in Nairobi because he was a student there. He's not a Nairobian per se. He's a Kisumu citizen. I don't think that Paul Ongili should be anywhere near national power. That thing that happened today, do you know that it can spread very fast? From the question you asked me, it can spread, and once it has gone to all corners of the country, he can be the leader easily. Because Kenyans, they copy, they take things like a FAD, FAD. You know, when the people were, you know, starting to buy Safaricom shares about 12, 15 years ago, I am telling you, it was like something, you know, there's something about Kenya where you start something and everyone wants to do the same thing. And I am telling you, this Babu Owino craze, it can, hiyo kitu inaweza kwenda like a fire. And by next week, unapata huyu sasa ndio opposition leader, by the way. Njiru, Babu Owino Paul Ongili can be the opposition leader within 2 weeks. And people are saying that it is Ruto who is planting him. That could be a possibility. But for what gain? Me, I think that he's such a person that he really wants that national leadership. He was gunning for that governorship of Nairobi, but I think right now, hata kama naenda kwa hiyo, yeye, he wants to take over, if you want. Ati yeye sasa ndio champion ya wananchi. Hiyo hapana. Hiyo hata afadhali unichome mimi, unichome, uniweke hata kwa mafuta ile moto kabisa, unichome. Haki huyo akikuwa rais, hata akikuwa sijui nani, hata mimi hata si Mkenya. Ati nimemwona hivi akijaribu kuua mtu na bunduki hivi, alafu naniambia yeye ndio the next president. No way. Or the next sijui what. But he can involve himself in change. That one I don't mind. Hiyo anaweza jaribu asaidiane na watu, lakini nisimwone hapo ati yeye ndiye anataka kuwa sijui nini. Hapana. And as I've said before, the people of Nyanza, they need to relax now. For the next 20 years, tuache hizi siasa. Tukue mbali na siasa kabisa. Tuachieni nyinyi, watu wenye, sijui Meru, Embu, mchukue hapo, hata mchukue kabisa, hata hizo hatutaki. Sisi tumeonja ile yetu, tulikuwa upinzani. Even when Raila was so-called prime minister, that one did not change our lives anyway. That's why I've never called him prime minister, because I don't recognize that. I know he won. He beat Kibaki until Kalonzo came in. But can I ask you something? Why are people annoyed with are they annoyed with Martha Koome or Martha Karua? What is happening?
I think people have decided to be silent on those people because the harm. Unajua vitu zingine when the harm has already been. We know akina Martha Koome, they already caused harm, irreparable damage. They actually made Raila Odinga not witness the real thing which Raila Odinga wished to see, a good Kenya. They frustrated him to the extent akaona, if working with them I can see that good Kenya, let me work with them. Actually, Raila Odinga even went to the government out of frustration. You want to cause change while you are outside. That change is not coming. Now sasa unaanzia kusema sasa, wacha basi niingie ndani ya huu mkoba sasa basi nifanyie huko. So unfortunately, Martha Koome and maybe Martha Karua Wangari, as you say, maybe somebody like Martha Wangari Karua, people have maybe like Raila supporters have forgiven her, partly because of even her agreeing even to support him in 2022. But Martha Koome, people are very bitter with him, even though Kenyans have chosen not to focus with her. That's what I would say.
Sawa, lakini tuone vile vijana wataendelea na hii mambo, kwa sababu I just want our mzee to be buried peacefully. I have listened to some songs that have been lyrics that have been made in the last 2 days. There is one which is quite touching. Alafu Bahati pia ameunga hapo nini nyimbo, lakini Bahati kwa lyrics zake hapo ameweka sijui Sakaja na huyu Polongili. I don't know what is wrong with these artists. Is it also they just want money from these leaders? But someone will come with some good record. We celebrate our leader. One of the things that I would like us to do as a country, which is not very common in Kenya, is to remember Bwana Odinga using historical archives. And one of the things that watu wanaweza kufanya, Kenyans are very good at crowdfunding at the moment. You know that young man who was recently praised for tending to his father who is ill, and people established a fund and they helped him. I can't remember his name now. But we can do crowdfunding, Kenyans nationally, to do certain projects in the name of Raila Odinga. You heard that the Gen Zs want to build a hospital somewhere in Nairobi. They said to hell with government money. They will do a fundraising and they will build a hospital. On top of that, I think some outstanding historical artifacts like a statue, not those ugly statues that if you look at those statues they have made, G of Mboya and Dedan Kimathi, I swear, for those of you who live in the West, compare those statues. What they've done is they have laughed at Mboya and our man Dedan Kimathi and a few others. We need some artists, a proper procurement of artwork to put an everlasting image of those leaders who have changed our country, so that even while we celebrate them, we remember them, but we can also do projects that, and I'm sure that Kenyans would, the Gen Z movement, they've already said they want to build a hospital. Me, I'm ready to mobilize so that this can happen. I've never heard of any such thing. ati private citizens deciding to build a hospital in which country? But our young people have said that's what they'll do. Thank you very much, Mr. Njiru, for giving me the time to speak. My heartfelt condolences to the people of Kenya for the tragedy, what we have faced. Death is for us, for everyone. It will come. It will not wait for you. It will get you at any time. I want to reiterate that what the Indian medical personnel said in their press release the other day is completely true. I wouldn't doubt it. That's a very, very, very critical thing for a top doctor to kind of come there on stage and start to lie to people. Then people think that she was lying. She stood there to lying to people globally about the episodes that led to Raila Odinga's death. This is so stupid. Why should she lie? For what reason? To gain what? Mr. Odinga is known to have had to have lived with the condition of diabetes from way back when he was in jail in Naivasha prison in 1991. Amnesty International, they wrote a letter which was publicized to the public and to the Kenyan government and to the United Nations, begging the regime of Daniel Arap Moi to give treatment to Raila Odinga at the time when his blood sugars were at a critical stage in prison. You know about his eyes and legs. This is to do with his diabetic condition. He's prone to collapsing, all his falls and all that. People like Miguna used to say, "Oh, sijui Raila ni vodka amekunywa." You know, when your blood sugars are shooting up or low, those are some of the things that happened, the consequences, you know. And it was mentioned by the Indian doctor, the fact of the diabetes as well. And these people, you have to, once you turn 50, 51, and you're type 1 or type 2 diabetes, they would give you statins, which tend to deal with the bad cholesterol, so that you don't have heart disease or heart attacks and things like that. He was a straight candidate for any consequences of diabetes. But as we know that we live on conspiracy theories.
Can I ask you a question, Kidogo? Belfast,
Go ahead.
Okay, naturally, what is the lifespan of diabetes? Kuuliza to like, if somebody is diagnosed with diabetes today, how long can they live with the best maintenance possible?
Do you see
diabetes for 50 years?
Of course. I'm 52 and I'm type 1 diabetic. I've had it since I was 7 years old. In fact, for someone to live at that age of 80 with diabetes, they have done extremely well. You should be clapping for them. So the issue with the diabetes condition is like, most people who have this condition, they are in denial. And it is possible that when he was offered things like amputation, he probably said no. Because one of the problems he had was he had a massive problem with his left leg, Mr. Odinga. And that was due to his, neuropathy, his foot neuropathy, which affects any person who has diabetes, because if it goes disrepaired, they amputate you. They amputate your toes, your feet, your leg, everything, your limbs. So all these things considered, alafu watu wanauliza ameenda kufanya nini India? Wengine wanasema ati alienda kuosha damu. Hata kuna mwingine nilisoma hapo wanasema ati ako na HIV AIDS. Kenyans can really make theories to suit their conversation. So my point is that what has happened there is what can happen to any Kenyan. Me, I don't see any foul play you can do against an 80-year-old person, because like, what are they going to gain? The man was already in the last throes of politics, and that unamwekea sumu alafu ndio nini nifanyike hapo kwa hiyo sumu umempatia for what? If I have spoken any words of offense, I'm very sorry. As I always say, that it's good to make people happy rather than sad. Thank you very much, Njiru.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for that contribution. Na wakaribisha wote kwa show. We are still continuing to celebrate the life of the fifth, Raila the fifth. Nakumbuka 2022 hapa tulikuwa tunasema Raila the fifth, Baba the fifth. Oh my. Me in fact, Bwana Neutral, do you know ile kitu inanipea shida sana ni ati the next election hakutakuwa na jina ya baba kwa ballot paper. Kuna vile naona ni kama hiyo ballot paper nitaona ni kama imekosewa, like, and I think that is the day when I will come and believe like Raila is not with us, and so unique. So Raila the fifth aling'ang'ana. He has still achieved one of the best lives, which I can say any human being would aspire. He tried his best. I think very few Kenyans, not even it will be a privilege for any Kenyan to actually get that life which Raila Odinga had. So, uko na watu, you have a family. They are like, by the age of 40, he had already started becoming a diatomite. Born 1945. At an age of 40, we are talking of 1985. 1985. At an age of 45, that is 1990, ako kwa mapinduzi. At an age of 50, he is aspiring to be the president. And he is now becoming a political force in Kenya. He lived through that to his 60s and his 70s.
Yeah, people forget about all that. By the way, do you know that he was a great footballer? He played for, in the 1950s, there was one of the top clubs. It was called Luo Union. It was back in the 70s where it reinvented itself to be Reunion. But he was a fantastic footballer in his 20s. And a lot of his life was about sports. Do you remember that when he was campaigning or when he was making public speeches, he used to do those things in Luo we call ngero. Ni kama vile anasema kitendawili. Remember Raila, kitendawili. And so, let's have fun and talk about these things, Me, I miss that. Kitendawili. And then he was expecting the crowds to give him a route to the puzzle of the kitendawili. And most of the time, the crowds didn't even have a clue what he was going to say, And I think that those were kind of some of his great speeches. When you read the WikiLeaks by Julian Assange, you remember the Australian guy who, you're an IT person, Njiru, but you remember the Australian guy who managed to hack into the diplomacy files of the UK, America, and all that, embassy by embassy. And what he got about Kenya, the American embassy, the archives they had on Raila Odinga, they were saying this man, you can find these things online, that this man was, he could not make a full speech without staggering or stammering. But they didn't know that this was just Raila, his way of, making the public warmed up a little bit, and then hitting them, with the final clanger, But there was wazungu ati wanaandika hapa, this man he is not good. He stammers too much. And in fact, there were Kenyans who used to joke about this. But I am going to miss his great speeches. Some of his speeches were written, of course, by his technocrats. They were very boring speeches. But him in his full jam, when he starts talking about the footballers. And I remember back in the 80s, when we were growing up, there was a guy called Josephat Murila of AFC Leopards. William, what was his name? There was a guy, Kadenge. Joe Kadenge, I think. No, Joe Masiga and Kadenge. These are guys who played for AFC Leopards. We knew the AFC players more than we knew the Gor Mahia players, and we were Gor Mahia fans. Tulirogwa, tulijua.
Kadenge na mpira, and sasa ikafika pahali, like when I was growing up,
hiyo usiseme, hata hiyo ninaijua, usiseme hiyo. Hiyo usiseme.
Sema.
Najua ni kitu gani utasema hapo. Si tulikuwa tunafanya mdomo hivi, alafu ile tunasema ni mbaya sana. Ati Kadenge na nani? Hebu sema hiyo.
We never used to even to think like Kadenge was a person. We thought Kadenge was like a connector statement.
Unakumbuka watu walikuwa wanasema ile kitu hapo, wanaweka M, hiyo mpira wanatoa ile P, wanaweka F. Unakumbuka hiyo? Basi you are not of the 80s, 70s, bana. It used to, football was dirty, but it was enjoyable. And when you see Raila Odinga talking the football of kina Kadenge, kina Joe Masiga, kina Ziko, Peter Dao, but I'm going to miss this man. I am going to miss him terribly. Terribly. I don't know about you, Bananjiru, but sijui ni nani atachukua nini hiyo opposition. Mimi sijui.
Like now the person who will be like,
opposition nationwide.
Hiyo manto ya enigma, the person to play like the same responsibility which Raila did.
Hakuna mtu.
Right now in Kenya, I don't think there is somebody who can do that, unless itabidi tuile tu ya wasaidiane. Unajua Raila was that person ambaye unaenda kuungana na yeye as a necessity, si ati anakutafuta. Wewe ndio unaenda kwake as a necessity. I don't know if you get that. So I don't think there is another politician who, and then na kuna wengine wanapanga vile wanataka kumpiga na wengine wanapanga vile wanataka kwenda pande yake, like somebody sorry.
So unaona vile hawa watu, unasikia mtu anataka kuwa MP, huyu mwingine amekuwa nominated, alafu huyu ameshinda lakini hajashinda. So do you think these characters now, it's going to be bloodshed? Huh? Because there's a vacuum. Sasa hakuna mtu anaenda kwake.
Ile swali nilikuwa nikijiuliza, maybe can I ask you today, like in the unlikely event Kenya kutokezea maandamano, who will stop it? Or who will bring people?
Hiyo hakuna. Si hata umeona, si umeona Babu Owino hapo akijaribu kustopisha watu hapo kwa bunge walitoka. Umeona hiyo film hapo bungeni? Sijui Babu Polo Ogili alikuwa anajaribu kutoa watu leo. Hakuna. We don't have Wangari Maathais. We don't have a Raila Odinga today. We don't have that side, that type of person. Hakuna. Kuna maburukenge wengi hapo, nakwambia hakuna mtu hapo. We niambie huko Coast wakina Msimamo, nani huko? Who is there in Coast?
In other words, I think Kenyan politics, and maybe let me put it this way, Bwana Belfast. Wacha nichongoe wa mama kidogo, wa mama wa Kenya. I think Kenyan women might give, wacha niseme like, sijui kama unajua, there's a guy who used to be called Mackenzie when Tom Mboya was killed in 1969. That guy said, Kenyans are not aware of what has just happened. It will take Kenyan women over 100 years to give birth to such a kid again. So, Bwana Belfast, in that note, nataka kusema itabidi wa mama wa Kenya wazae kabisa by the time they produce something else like baba again. Wa mama itabidi muzae, and I've said it with a lot of humility. Hapo mutazaa. I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, but you need years to give birth to. So some kids do not just reappear. Ni kama yetu.
Hapana, lakini wacha nikuulize, and by the way, don't forget Mackenzie was just another spy. He was a British spy who was seconded by the South Africans. And Kina Jomo, they knew that. They had a spy in the cabinet. Wachana na huyo Mackenzie. By the way, he died in Uganda. That plane crash that killed him, it was a good plot. And please don't quote me. But the way we're talking about this, I want to ask you, because we're talking about who is it that will be the national leader. Yani, even newspapers can say we have a department of Raila Odinga. That yani, on a daily basis, they have to look for a press release. They have to look for a cough or a smile, a cry, a hiccup from Raila Odinga. Who is that the press will now look for in your area? Just even give me your area. Who?
Hebu nisome kidogo as I respond to you. I think Kireta anasema Njiru, another Joey will be there. So I think Calvin thinks like people of the stakes of Raila Odinga are still there.
Like who?
I don't think somebody like Raila Odinga, even like a Samuel. I don't think a Samuel who is an upcoming leader, and I think Raila Odinga was trying to mentor. I don't think, based on what I'm seeing, Samuel started moving too much early. Gachagua is not a Raila Odinga, but he is the only brave one to the issue of Raila Odinga is not about even taking on Zakayo. Siongei story ya kuchukua Zakayo hapa. So Jodida, I think we are missing here. I'm talking about a person who can be able to, like, for example, hata ni swali tulikuwa tunaulizana jana. Can Gachagua be relevant like for 30 years? Ni swali nauliza. Can Gachagua like hii mambo Gachagua anafanya hapa like
I think he can. If the man needs to change his style of leadership. I think he is a very charismatic person. He's a person who can be listened to, but I think he needs to change his style of leadership, because at the moment, his style of leadership, going by what people who have left him are saying. I listened to Wamushomba only to hear what I want to know about Gashagwa. I listened to Gathoni Wamushomba. And for her to say such things about Gashagwa, then I need to see him changing the style of his leadership. Because I don't think someone like Wamushomba can say such things willy-nilly. I think that she is saying something that makes a lot of sense about the way Rigathi Gachagua conducts himself in leadership. Honestly, what do you think?
Okay. You have told me that Gachagua can. But there is something. There is an element of maybe Raila. What about this element of Raila where unajua Raila was malleable? Let me use that word.
Changing right, left, right. Okay, go ahead.
So Raila ni yule mtu ambaye unakuja unapoteza hope na yeye kabisa. Unaona sasa huyu yani unakuja unasahau, unaona sasa unaanza kusema huyu hata sasa ameisha atoboi, sasa huyu hata hana plan. Even as you are starting to budget on people, unamsahau kabisa, unaanza kusema huyu hayuko. Then suddenly jamaa anakuja na plan. Unasikia unamsikia tu kumepambauka. No, what I'm trying to say that that your story having form, like he could fit in, he could take something and build it to something, a creator of movements. You have to give, because Raila Odinga, I think in Kenya he has created like five movements. Na unakuta even as watu wengi, alafu anakasirisha grupu fulani, anatengeneza. Do you know that, by the way, Bwana Neutral, support ya Raila Odinga used to be different all the time? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, but the characters were the same. You know, me, I don't take the Kenyan political elite very seriously. I don't take them seriously. If you're talking about the political elites, they're the same people. And these are the people we are complaining about, you know, ganging around his coattails. All of them, including national leaders like Uhuru Kenyatta, Gideon Moi, William Ruto, Mudavadi, all those people. So if you're talking about the top, I don't see those five groups you're talking about. All I see is like a gang of elite structures, you know, that have affected the Kenyan economy for the longest time. If you want me to speak about the business, you know, associations that Raila Odinga had with which people, me, I don't want to speak about such things today. Because, as I said, he's not perfect. Okay? But for the immense amount of burden that he carried on his shoulders on behalf of the Kenyan people, that one there I can celebrate. This man was tortured, yani mamake amekufa, and the prison guards refused to tell him for the longest time that he has just lost his mother. Do you know how painful that is? Do you know that prisoners have a right, even in Moi's time, to be told that your father or mother is dead? Your brother, your sister, it's your right to know. But because he was this detainee, they could not share that information with him. Now, when this man came out of prison, can you not just give him time to have a normal life? If he wants to do crazy things that he never done before, fine. That's why I had a problem with people who used to prescribe and describe Mandela, saying that, oh, CG Mandela has come out of prison. We black people were still broke. CG, what they were expecting Mandela to change the black streets of South Africa to the core. But all that Mandela has just done there, he has stayed in prison for 27 years. Which you, if you stay for 5 days, you'll be crying for your mother. And then they were out there complaining at CG Mandela, he dined with the white people. And that is how Mandela got out of prison. You hear this story. Kenyans talk of Jomo Kenyatta. I really detest this narrative where Kenyans say, and I've seen it written several times, that Jomo Kenyatta was not actually in prison. You know, if he was not at his home in Ishaweri and he was somewhere there in Maralal, so how is he's not in prison? With Kinapolnge and all those people, those characters. Towards his last days in prison, they gave him a house where he was under house arrest in Maralal, kule Samburu. Ukienda huko Doldol, unapita hizo manjia zote ukienda huko. Landscape was just full of elephants and other wild animals. Now, those places are not Ichaweri, but you had Kenyans saying that, oh, this man, Jomo Kenyatta, was not in prison. Gee, he was lapping it up. Even Uhuru Kenyatta, he was conceived in prison, in a house in Maralal, whatever. You may hate Jomo Kenyatta, but the man was in prison. He was jailed by the British authorities. And so you heard people talking about Raila saying that he wined and dined with the dictators, the people who detained him. Yes, he decided that the best way of dealing with Moi was to literally go into Moi's government. Sijui ilikuwa inaitwa ile kitu ilikuwa inaitwa LDP. Hey, we were disgusted. We were disgusted that time when Raila joined Moi's government through LDP. Like in Mudia Warrior, I remember that time. Akina Gumo walikuwa watu wa Moi. They managed to get Raila into the fold. That time, do you know that Moi, lakini Moi was a schemer. Moi put Okemo, Chrysanthus Okemo, and Raila Odinga as two energy ministers. You had two cabinet ministers for energy in some short period in order to make sure that his wishes, his plans as the president, his corruption could still continue under the disguise of a prime energy minister who was at the time Chrysanthus Okemo. And you know that case of Chris Okemo and Huyo Gichuru, Huyo Samuel Gichuru, who was CEO of KPLC. That case is still on in Guernsey, that small place island in the UK, for the last 20 years. I think they've only ever got 4.5 million pounds back to the Kenyan government from these two criminals, Okemo and Gishuru. What I am saying is the decisions that Raila Odinga made were not perfect. He is not a perfect person. He's made some mistakes. And probably he saw that himself. He's not a perfectionist, but he has tried to change the economy in such a way that the people have felt it. The only reason why they're doing this state funeral is not because he was a leading light in opposition politics. It's only because of the Grand Coalition government, because the state apparatus provides for a state funeral for a premier leader. Could be a president or a prime minister. If that Kalonzo did not go to become a vice president during Kibaki's time, and then Raila prime minister, these things are just they're born around the constitution, the power games in the Kenyan government. This is nothing to do with Raila being like some kind of political leader. It's just because he was made prime minister. That is why they're according him a state funeral with the soldiers and all that. But those are gimmicks, because it doesn't change the lives of Kenyans in any way. What we really need to look at is that who is it that is going to champion for Kenyan people starting from this weekend? This is what we really need to focus on. Is it going to be Gachagua or Gachagua and someone else? Because at the moment, the only person left right now is Gachagua. But he's not playing his cards well. There is a thing which Gachagua is doing which is not sounding right. And he knows it. Actually, Gachagua reminds me of Donald Trump. I don't think Gachagua is a person who can take any advice. He can be a teleprompter there. He will not use it. So we need someone that can do what Raila Odinga did, but even better, Bwana Njiru. Yani someone, it is possible. If Gachagua can change his style of leadership, I think it is possible. But if he cannot change his style of leadership,
and
it is not.
And always the latter leaders should always be the better version of the former. So Gachagua has no reason of not becoming a better Raila Odinga if you want, because already you have a sample which you are looking at and comparing to. You're tunasemanga the next version should always be better than the earlier version. Those unakumbuka those XP, Windows, as you go that the next version should always be better. So lakini kama sasa the next version is rusted, there's no need for it. So you can say and then tupe msimamo.
Sasa wewe unatuletea maneno ya DOS and Windows XP. Wewe hata huku kwa siku za DOS ulikuwa wapi? You are a baby. Back in the days of the DOS.
I'm a student of history, brother. I know.
Hapana, lakini DOS ulikuwa wapi? Sisi tulifanya DOS.
Sasa umeanzia kuni-investigate tena sasa.
Wewe ulifanya DOS wapi wewe? Sisi tulichapa computer DOS in the early 90s.
mimi nimeweka mpaka information kwa floppy disk.
Wewe hakuna floppy disk wewe. Umepata wapi wewe? Ati floppy disk. Stop lying to us, Atume. Where did you get a floppy disk? Just be honest.
Niliziona zilikuwa zimewekwa.
Exactly. You saw them, you didn't use them. As we use floppy disk. We had big computers, yani the size of a TV. A computer, if you see it, even you run away. Those are the things we used, bwana. Yani, when you want to use the internet, they used to call it buffering. It's buffering or streaming. That time in the early 90s, you're in the diaspora and you're watching Kenyan news. It is buffering. And you know, Njiru, your next door neighbor, you could use their Wi-Fi. That time it was not even called Wi-Fi. Yeah? You could use your next door neighbor's internet access in your own house. The security systems was very, very, very low at the time. Those days of buffering. So mazee usianze kutuambia maneno za ati floppy disk hizi zingine zinaitwa pen. Ile ilikuwa inaitwa pen, sijui pen drive. Hata sidhani umefika hiyo pen drive. Wewe ulikuwa watu wa nini? XP. Hizo ndio enzi zenu.
So what I'm trying to say is that the next version should always be better. So I hope in Kenya we have the best version of Raila Odinga. If you have to copy that, you have, and these things happen. Unajua uongozi ni kama series. Look even in account za mapinduzi. Yule ambaye anachukulianga unakuja you have to move the needle further. So the next father wa mapinduzi should actually bring revolution in Kenya. So the next person who will try to mimic what Raila Odinga has done can actually save Kenya. Let me use that word. He can rescue Kenya because you just need to stand Raila Odinga life and what he used to do, and you just come up with an improved version of that.
That person has to grab the opportunity during the funeral. They should make their mark on that day. If Gachagua goes to the burial and he's standing there next to Paul Ongili, and I don't know who else, at least 3 people of some caliber.
Can they allow Gachagua even to give a speech there? Unless Gachagua maybe because you see, I don't think the government
it will be very dangerous.
Yeah, and unasema, so I don't know, like ukiangalia mtu kama Gachagua, unless he gives a speech in another town, but I don't think in a place like Bondo they will even allow him to speak.
Intelligence will say that it is dangerous because they will say, you know, that Mr. Odinga joined CG handshake, CG government. Why is Gachagua here? You know, Kenyans, maybe in this internet age, they can give Gachagua permission to speak from his phone, and they can stream it. I would like Gachagua to go to that funeral because he's a Kenyan.
But the problem is that the government cannot allow you. Any person who can rise or is star can shine. I think the government will be ready to give him an opportunity there. And you know, the government and the Ruto, who is going for a second, you want to go for a second term, he is also counting on inheriting Raila support. I don't know if it is an equation which he will be able to do, but do you want what I see, this is what Ruto is going to do. Ruto is going to lie in that barrio and say that unajua hata baba akiwa hai tulikuwa tunaongea mingi sana. Hebu nikuulize bwana Belfast. Ruto akitokezea kwa hiyo barrio ya Raila, alafu aseme unajua hata mimi baba aliniachia nyinyi. Baba aliniambia nikikuja kile nitakuja niwaambie mkubali. How do you think the Luo community is going to take that if Ruto will want to claim that inheritance through gimmicks of things which we cannot understand?
No. That no. Listen. The young people now in Nyanza, they are a totally different cohort. You know, number one, the young people in the youth in Nyanza, they become apolitical in terms of elections since 2017. Many of them did not vote in 2022 because of how they felt the elections would be conducted. This is the truth, my friend. If anything does not change that situation, it will remain like that, you know. So I really don't think that Ruto comes there and says this and that, and the young people listen to him. The young people now, they need someone who will come to that stage, you know, that podium, and speak something that will shake this regime really hard. Hopefully, for me, that would have been Gachagua. I did not even like the way the man was hounded out of office. It was the fastest thing I have seen in that Kenyan parliament ever. But then, the way he has conducted himself, he has given us so much information, it's really difficult to keep up, right? So that when you think that this is the truth, this is not. But this is, you know, it's up to you to filter out the truth. I want him to come and tell us the truth without giving us homework to find out whether it is true. I want Gachagua to be even better than Raila Odinga. Do you know, Gachagua, when he's talking, he has some literary devices, you know. His metaphors are sometimes even more powerful and more charismatic than Raila Odinga. But there is something he's just not doing right. I don't know what it is. Because how can you even have enemies from your own side? That worries me. He has enemies. Only kwa side yake anatakikana asikuwe na watu wanapigana na yeye. Hao kina wa Muchomba, huyu jamaa wa Nakuru, huyu sijui anaitwaje huyu. Alikuwa mbunge hapo wa sijui constituency gani Nakuru. I believe that he has some kind of power to change things in Kenya because he has first-hand knowledge about how Kenya is run. So if it's not him on that day of the burial, me, I don't want to see that Paul Ongili. You know, you're not telling me what you think about Paul Ongili. You're afraid to speak about Paul Ongili.
Babu Owino is, I think Babu Owino thinks that there is a vacuum in his own making. And Raila Odinga, while he was alive, he did not pronounce himself who would inherit him. So I think Babu Owino is just trying to grasp that opportunity by force, so that even as the next leader is coming, akue ODM ni kama imekatika mara mbili, ama the Luo Nyanza imekatika mara mbili. And then the other beautiful thing about Babu Owino is that and this is one thing which because unajua nimefuata history ya Wajaluo sana. Luo people, they don't want to clown you when you are old. Luo people, they want to clown you at your tender age, so that they can enjoy that leadership for long. So the next person who will inherit Raila Odinga is not a man in his 60s. He will be a man either in his early 50s or early 40s, because they want longevity. And Bwana Neutral, you need to comment about that, longevity and leadership. Hawataki kiongozi anakuja hapo awaongoze miaka 5. I think they want longevity. I don't know how old Babuino is, but maybe there are some who are looking at longevity. This is a person who can serve the
He's in his 30s. He's in his 30s.
So if he is in his 30s, you see now Babuino can be a sisemi atakuwa, he can be the Luo leader for the next 50 years. So, and we are in 2025, we are talking of although hakuna mtu ana own life, we are now talking of the next shakeover of the Luo leader, of the Luo leadership in 2080. No, not 2080, in 2070, when we will be celebrating our 100 years of independence. So the next Luo leader could be a man who could go all the way to 2070. And I think that is what Luo people look at, because look at all the Luo leaders who they had. Look at all of them, the leaders. I think Jaramogi took them from independence to post-independence all the way to 90s. So you can look at Jaramogi is becoming the leader of Luo community in the 50s, and Isukuma all the way to 1990. Can you look from 50s to 90? Hiyo ni miaka 40. Alafu Raila Odinga akachukulia 30 to 40 years again, and the next leader is going to do another 40 years. So hiyo ni kitu ya Wajaluo. So don't expect the Luo community to be a guy in his 60s as their next leader. They don't do that.
Correction, please. History will tell you that Jaramogi Oginga Odinga was not, was not a chief of the Luos. He was a national leader, yes, but if you compare with the political constituency that Raila had in Luoland, Jaramogi did not share the same. The way Raila's power was in every constituency in Luoland is not the same in the situation of Jaramogi. People voted their MPs during Jaramogi's time. Okay, because Jaramogi was in detention, prison, then under house arrests. Then when he came out, and then he joined the politics of the 90s for just barely 2 years, because he died in 1994. He didn't have much time to outspan his political constituency as a Luo leader. I don't think you can describe it in the same way that Raila Odinga, his politics has permeated the Luo community, even beyond the Luo community. So I beg to differ about that. Alafu, there is this song. Hey, I remember it now. People were singing it that time when in 2017, when people wanted Luo Nyanza to become a republic, and the song was all over the place, Onge ngamababu senego, 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 onge ngamababu senego. That song, it simply says that there is no one who Raila Odinga has killed. There is no one who Raila Odinga has killed. There is no one who Raila Odinga has killed. And that song, it really informed the way the Luo people think of Raila Odinga. You had some people saying that this one so and so has, even when Jacoyo Midiwo died, there were some stupid rumors there that he was talking too much. And you remember Jacoyo had he was in the panel, I think, of Citizen over NTV, and Jacoyo is related to Raila Odinga by virtue of being cousins or something. Now, at the panels or TV panels, he kind of started sounding off messages that were in support of Uhuru Kenyatta, half-baked messages, and then when he passed on, some people were saying at sijui, this one here has been killed by so and so. Some conspiracy theories that don't stick together. But what I know is that the power, the political power that Mr. Odinga had, that swept across the country, was actually beyond Luo. It was beyond Luo. But when we had the elections, they used to try and make it look like Raila is only getting votes from Nyanza, Western, and Coast Province. They were not even thinking about Nairobi. And of course, you know how Eastern Province, for example, under the influence of Kalonzo Musyoka, gave Raila a landslide, especially in 2022. And even that time when Raila was being accused of, bidding for Muslims, and he had a huge vote from Northeastern, especially in 2017. But people were still saying that, this man, his politics is divisive. Njiru, I want to tell you one thing before I go. And this is very important, okay? What happened during Kibaki's power, when Kibaki was in charge of the country, the first term of Kibaki, when Raila Odinga was Minister for Housing and Public Works, before they split that into a thing where they gave Amos Kimunya part of Raila's ministry, because you know what happened. In that first term, Raila Odinga did what he promised he said he would do. He said that houses that were built on way leaves, houses that were built on way leave lines where electricity and things like that were supposed to be, the structures were supposed to be put up, he was going to bring down those houses. He promised. And in Nairobi, house after house after house that were illegally planned, he brought them down. In fact, in Kisumu, he did the same to his own brother. Property where his brother had hived off land that belonged to the public, huyu Oburu Odinga. Raila alinyakua hiyo akarudishia serikali. Do you know that that was the time when the definition of I hate Raila came from? Because when he did this, people who had built structures on way leaves and other public utilities, that one there made Raila the enemy of the people, because they just couldn't believe it. And this is a guy who is a minister for CG Public Works or Housing, and this is what he's doing to us. He's literally killing our businesses and our homes. But Raila had warned that that is what he would do, and he did it. And the state and other, parastatals, they got their land back. And then, of course, everything went back to normal when he disagreed with Mwai Kibaki and Amos Kimunya took over. And there was this guy, I think Shoita Sitanda was now named Minister for Housing, if I'm not wrong. And those two guys, Sitanda and Kimunya, they decided to do the opposite of what Raila Odinga was doing in terms of reforming and reclaiming public land. And that's my take for today, my digest. I've praised Raila Odinga enough. I've said that he's not a perfectionist. And I believe that Kenyans are now ready to either bring us the worst leader ever to oppose the iniquities that we have, or we're going to get one of the best leaders. I don't know what's going to happen. Lakini msituletee huyo Polongili. Mkiniletea huyo Polongili, mimi sijui hata sitaamka. Sijui kama nitaenda kazi.
wa Kenya na Wajaruo wapate busara. They look at more than one dichotomy when it comes to the leader. Anyway, Bwana Belfast ni asante. Thank you for your participation.
Asante.
And I know you have largely been here. Na nitaomba tafadhali kama hujatupea subscription, feel free to give us subscription. You can also thank us. There are so many things you can do in this show. You can even become a member. So Bwana Musimamo, sijui kama uko na
hadi mimi nikuwe member na mimi ni member.
No, nasema yule ambaye sio member akuwe member.
Oh, okay.
I actually wanted to thank you. In fact, Belfast is the only member in this show, for your information.
Imagine.
Belfast is the only member. The only. Anyway,
very shameful. Imagine that's how Kenyans are supporting you, and they're here every day. Yani wanataka ukunywa uji na nini na fork. Julian ndio huyo, acha nikimbie. Hey.
Usikimbie, wacha nikwambie pole Belfast. Pole sana, and I just hope that you'll feel stronger soon. Na I'm also praying for Raila Odinga's supporters. Unajua akona wale supporters wanaitwa wa periphery na wale supporters wa ndani. So there are those who are feeling the pinch. If you saw how people reacted today, Jiru, I guess now you know how much people were affected by Raila Odinga's death. And I think now it is our responsibility as Kenyans, all of us, to either sympathize with them and empathize with them. Empathize with them, try and be in their shoes, and I would urge those who are listening and watching, if you know somebody. I have been online and in groups and people are literally crying. Hata kuna watu wameniambia wamechukua leave, hawaendi kazi. So I think they feel it. I think they feel it like the day Jomo Kenyatta died. I think that is how the Kikuyu nation and those who fought for independence felt, not just the Kikuyu nation. So I think we have been there a few more times. And today, those who watched what was transpired, I just feel like it is our time as Kenyans, for once, just to be united and look at the good things that Raila Odinga has done. We may not agree with everything he has done, but overall performance, we can say that he's one of the people. People are just asking me in the United States, who is this Raila Odinga? And I had one simple response, nikawambia, that is one of the people that has highly contributed to Kenya's democratic space. Indian people in the United States know that Kenya is one of the countries that enjoys a wide democratic space. So I had to explain to them why Raila Odinga matters to Kenyans. And so, Ellie, I saw your messages and I'm really sorry. I hope that you feel strong soon.
Na nasikia ile ndege Julia kidogo, nasikia ile ndege ilikuwa na watu wengi sana, ni kama ilisambaa mpaka kwa TV za Kimarekani. Sijui kuna watu walipanda ndege ama what happened. Did you see that? There was a photo which was circulating.
Yeah.
Watu walikuwa wamepanda ndege wakiwa wameendea mwili.
Okay, those news spread so much. Yeah. But now a lot of people wanted to know who is this Raila Odinga, and so I found myself explaining. And yeah, so we need to sympathize and empathize for once as Kenyans and recognize and appreciate the role he has played in our democratic space. Ukweli, kama Raila Odinga angekuwa na hizo guts, the many times he has gone out on the streets, tungekuwa tumefinywa sana na kina Kasongo na wengine. Tungekuwa tumefinywa kufinyika. Okay, it was not Raila Odinga alone, but it took him and other people to do that. So today, unajua there are many countries that in Kenya, in Africa. In fact, nimegundua Njiru na Eli na nani mwingine?
Msimamo.
Do you know, if you mkiangalia Africa, tuko mbele sana. I even kind of feel like we are overtaking South Africa in our democratic space. In fact, once we kick Ruto out, tutakuwa mbali sana, mbali. Because a lot of countries, they don't even know what they are fighting for. A lot of nations in Africa, they don't know what they are fighting for. They are fighting, lakini wakomba. I was thinking that Ghana is so far, but I'm so surprised and disappointed that Ghana, according to me, is so backward. Economically, democratically. They don't even know why they fight and they overthrow each other. They overthrow governments every now and if they have been overthrown, they have not achieved what they were supposed to achieve. So I feel like Kenya tumesonga mbele. Now, one of the people that have made us tumesonga mpaka hapa ni Raila Odinga. So however much we agree with anything he has done, ama with him working with Kasongo, let us now hold his memories like such and remember that he has fought for our democratic space. So when I saw people, how the reaction, the mourners, I felt sad too. And earlier I felt more sad. I felt very sad today when I saw Uhuru and Ida weeping into each other's arms. Uliona hiyo picha? Eli, did you watch that? Kama watu wameenda kulala. Msimama, wewe uliona hiyo picha?
Niliona mpaka nikashangaa sana, nikaa na maswali najiuliza, yaani nikaa nakosa majibu, imekuwaje?
Mimi chenye niliona msimamo iliniambia kwamba uhusiano wa Raila Odinga na Uhuru ulikuwa karibu sana. Ulikuwa tu si uhusiano tu wa kisiasa, lakini uhusiano wa kifamilia na kijamii. Na vile niliona Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta wakikumbatiana na Mama Ida na machozi ikawatoka wao wenyewe. Sijui nani alianza, machozi yake ilianza kutoka. Nafikiri ni Aida ilianza kutoka ama ni ya Uhuru. Lakini vile walikumbatiana ni kama watu wawili wenye wamempoteza mpendwa wao wa karibu sana. Na nikaona hata hawa watu, hata kama saa zingine hawakubaliani kisiasa, kuna vile huwa wanahusiana kama mafamilia ama marafiki. Na nikaona Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta amepoteza rafiki wa karibu sana. Nilifikiria maneno ya hiyo Mama Ida na nikamwona kama mama yangu na nikashikwa na huzuni, nikafikiria yale huyo mama amepitia kuhusu huyu bwana wake na pia familia yake amepitia mambo mazito. Nikajua kuna juu maisha ya watoto wake, alipoteza mwanawe sometime back. Ni kama akona wanawake wawili wenye hawajisikii vizuri kabisa, na nikaangalia na huyu bwana yake ameteswa miaka mingi kwa jera, na huyu bwana yake amekuwa kwa siasa. Ni kama huyu mama alipata bwana na watoto, lakini pengine maisha yake karibu miaka pengine hata 40 hajasherekea sana. Na nikafikiria huyu mama bwana yake ameaga akiwa India na hakumwona siku zake za mwisho. Sijui kama alimwona ali hakumwona, lakini mimi leo vile niliona Uhuru akikumbatiana na Mama Ida nilijisikia kama mama pia, na nikashikwa na huzuni. Na leo mimi nimekuja nikisema kwamba nawapa pole Wakenya wote waliohuzunika, walioshikwa na walioguzwa na kifo cha Raila Odinga. Nawapa pole familia yake, na ningeomba Wakenya wote, for this time let us sympathize and empathize with the family and the supporters of Raila Odinga. Let us think like one nation, one people, and just look at the contributions that Raila Odinga has put in our democratic space. So Eli, pole sana, I hope you feel better. Asante Njira, I wanted to say that.
Yeah, Julia. Yeah, so there is a question nilikuwa nikiuliza kila mmoja wetu hapa. Now that Raila ametuacha, na kuna uwezekano wa mazishi pale, kutakuwa Ruto ataenda hapo show off na kujaribu kuonesha vile alikuwa na usuhuba wa karibu na Raila Odinga. Do you think Ruto ataenda pale kudanganya, kuanzia kusema mimi hata Raila aliniachia nyinyi, so mimi ndiye niko na ujumbe wenyu kutoka kwa Raila na nitakuja kuambia mwelekeo kulingana na vile alikuwa ameniambia? Do you think Ruto might take that stance to try and actually hoodwink the Luo people, even though Belfast amekataa heavily, amesema vijana chipukizi hawezi sikiliza? Can you reason to us on the event that Ruto might want to take the advantage of somebody who is not there and try to say that they had agreed even for support in 2027 and maybe beyond? Tulikuwa tumepanga Kenya na huyu mzee, siku ya mazishi, he can come out and say that.
He'll say walikuwa wamepanga Kenya. He'll say a lot of things, he'll treat a lot of things, and he'll try to play Mr. Good Boy, but I think there's some kind of animosity coming up. Unaona hiyo song Eli ameimba. Eli, can you sing that song again? I understand. Okay, Eli, if I'm wrong, you can correct me. I understand that it means that Raila has never killed anybody, right? Eli, si kama unatusikia?
Hey, leo nitaanza kazi. I'm supposed to
What
be at
does
work
that
at
song? Onge na 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 na.
Onge ngamababu senego. Onge ngamababu senego. Onge ngamababu senego. Onge ngamababu senego. And they will sing that song, by the way, at the funeral. It means Raila has killed no one.
Yeah. It is.
For all the things you accuse him of, him he has not killed. The way these other leaders are butchering people, he has not done that. Unakumbuka ule jamaa anatoka sijui constituency gani huko Western, ule alichapa mtu bunduki about 2 years ago.
Ule wa Western?
Yeah. Ni mtu na mdomo kabisa huyu. He used to be in the military. He lied that he was a captain. Hata saizi EACC wana huyo EACC wanamtafuta. He lied that he was a captain in the army. He was never a captain, not even a private. So imagine, Didmus killed someone. Yule mwingine wa Coast, yule wa Kwale, yule alikuwa anataka kuwa governor. Huyo mama alikuwa anaitwaje yule? She was in the cabinet of Ruto.
Yuko Kilifi, yuko Kwale, yuko Kilifi. Huyu
Aisha Jumwa. Aisha Jumwa, So she was accused, So all these our politicians who have been seen killing. So what this song was meant to do was to say, not that Raila is perfect, but most of our leaders, they find someone to kill. And in fact, there was that time he was being accused, those conspiracies. And he has said that is to preserve the lives of Kenyans. Yani, me, I still can't believe that Raila Odinga is dead. I know that everyone tuko na siku yetu itafika, lakini nimeshangaa sana kabisa kabisa. And it also brings to the point what we say every time, that if we had good hospital facilities in our country, we just die in Kenya, and our leaders, they just die in Kenya, they don't have to seek medical treatment abroad. They will be treated better in Kenya. And this has not happened yet. It is so expensive for our people to receive fair medical treatment. So we can do things like the so-called Baba Care or Mama Care of Martha Karua. Something needs to happen. This thing about SHA, at first I thought that it might, the health authority thing, that it might, in fact, it was nearly the only thing that I thought that might work in Ruto's government. But I've been home a couple of times since last year, and I have really, really seen the mess of that health leadership that we have at the moment. It is terrible. That's why when you see that Kibagendi was fighting with Duale in parliament, it tells you just a pinch of what is happening that is affecting the Kenyan people. So when people like Raila, they go abroad and they seek medical treatment and it fails or doesn't fail, but it's so sad to see that this is the only thing our people can do. They can either go to India or South Africa to seek better treatment. It is so unfair that this is all that we can do. There's something that needs to happen in our country where the medical system can change. Uliona, there was this minister from Kisii, I think he's the education minister, a motorcade. Yani, you think it's like Donald Trump or something. Yani, that guy there was a full motorcade. At CG was going to plant a tree or launch a toilet or something like that in some village last week. So if you think
Where?
about
In
such
Kisii?
thing, huh?
Was he going to plant a tree in Kisii or another county?
There was some county, he was planting something. And the motorcade was absolutely, yani, there were 37 cars, I think, from what I saw on that YouTube. Imagine that kind of wastage of resources. If we serve, our people by doing things like that, what are we doing? So, mi naona tuko na shida hapa hivyo. There's something that needs to happen, and it needs to happen like really, really fast. These people who are going to go to Raila's funeral to just hype it up, talk some stupid stories. We need someone, 2 or 3 people, who, when they speak at that funeral, and I'm sure that even now the government, they're afraid of doing this. But these people who, when they speak at that funeral, and that message is, echoes around the country, those 2 or 3 people, they can change the country instantly. There is not going to any other platform like that for a long time. When niambie Uhuru Kenyatta, if he kicks the bucket tomorrow, will there be something like what we saw today?
No.
This is what I'm saying, yeah? So this is a special person who even Kina Uhuru, who so-called hated him, they didn't really hate him. In fact, Raila Odinga used to babysit Uhuru Kenyatta as a child. That's how close those two families were. you know. So the person who is going to take over, this is my headache from Raila Odinga this weekend, is who we are waiting for. That statement by that person is going to be the most important statement for us to prepare for a new leadership before 2027. If that doesn't happen, I'm telling you, William Ruto is going to kanyaga, na atatukanyaga vibaya sana, tupende tusipende. Mimi namtaka mtu mwingine hapo, yani, I would like someone to tell me, why is it that David Maraga, or even this Matiang'i, if the Matiang'i guy is coming in a different way, style to leadership, but certainly David Maraga. But these two people, if they want to work with Gachagua, I certainly don't want Gachagua to be the top of the leadership, but I want him to be part of the leadership. And these people should allow Gachagua to attend that funeral. Because if they don't allow Gachagua to attend that funeral, they have failed a huge section of Kenyans. Because this is a Kenyan event. So I personally would beg them to include Rigathi Gachagua in the plans that they have for this weekend. Honestly. Because if they don't do this, it's going to split the country even further. Because the people who will be left out will think, why are we being left out? Is it because of Gachagua, or is it because of us as a people of Central, or what is the problem here? As I said before, even Raila Odinga was not perfect. So Gachagua is not perfect. This is a funeral, but it is a funeral that is going to send very, very huge statements, post-funeral. If we don't really watch how we handle this. I believe that what happened in Kasarani today was nothing compared to what might happen tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I believe this. Imagine a minister.
Bedford, the
Sorry.
question is, the question is, can Ruto government handle a state funeral? That's the question I'm asking myself. Does Ruto have capacity to handle a state funeral of the capacity ya kuzika mtu kama Raila Odinga?
Look, the English or the Irish, they say a person who couldn't, who couldn't make a beer or brew a beer in a brewery cannot do anything, Do you get that statement? So you have a thing called a brewery, and you're supposed to be brewing your beer or changa, and you can't do it. That's the kind of Ruto we are talking about. He couldn't shit to save his life. Imagine you saw that man Murkomen running up and down. Yani hata uliona uso yake, he was so afraid. He thought that there was a coup or something in Kasarani. Alikuwa nakimbia hapo ati the news they're telling us ati sijui Murkomen is trying to tell the soldiers and the police to stop shooting. How? When the script was shoot. The script was to shoot.
Kwani walipiga watu risasi by the way?
Hai wewe.
Kuna watu wanapoteza maisha bwana.
Ellie, let me say this. Why people, my friends, wanted to find out what was happening is because of one, the shooting in Kasarani, and the way Jomo Kenyatta was brought at a standstill, and the way people breached the airport, an international airport, for 2 hours. That was news across the world. That was bad. Because Ruto and the security officers details should have been ready for that, and should have known how to direct the crowd. They knew the crowd was coming. They did not. Ruto is just a bad leader. He wasn't ready for this presidency. I'm telling you. Instead, atakuwa akisema kwamba si people are mourning. That was a crowd that was mourning. It was the responsibility of the government to manage that crowd. That what happened at the airport was bad, was very bad. Unaona, imagine
mpaka wakaingia kwa ile ndege. Imagine.
Imagine wakaingia kwa running space, runaway. Unaona, they were on the runaway. The airport stopped functioning for 2 years. That is, you cannot blame the mourners. That is the government to blame. That is bad leadership, according to me. So what Eric, you are saying, you just gave a very good statement. I don't know, the Irish say that Ruto na serikali yake hawezi manage mpaka primary school msimamo. Hao watu sijui tuliwatoa kwa kichaka gani. I don't know from which bush this Murko. What was first? Let me ask a question. Murko alikuwa ameenda India kufanya nini? Did he have what was? Let me ask you. That entourage, it was supposed to be Raila's close friends and families.
Exactly.
See, ati sasa serikali imejifanya akina Murko kama hawajaipanda ndege ya KQ kwenda India.
What they should have done, Julia, what they should have done there in Kasarani, to make, they should have brought a happy moment, maybe 1 or 2 musicians to to play some music, to that could have controlled people, a bit of happiness, But this one here, imagine lobbing tear gas at people.
That not just tear gas, they shot live bullets.
Yeah, they said they killed 3 people. Yeah, 3 people were killed.
Labda niongezeke nani kwa kitu kidogo hapa. Unajua Jula, kama unakumbuka juzi hapa nilizungumza kwamba ni ngumu kuficha kikohozi. Maana kitatoka tu, na kikitoka huwa kina mlio wa waibu. Ila kama yani ulikuwa una kibana, lakini ndio hivyo sasa. Ndio kimetoka. Ndio hivyo ambavyo hii hali imekuwa kwamba kwanza wengi wana maswali. Ni nini kilijiri? Hakukuwa na maelezo ya kueleza vizuri haswa nini kilijiri. So katika hiyo hali usitegemee kwamba kutakuwa na utulivu. Ile kubanabana mambo, yani kutokuwa wazi. Ni sawa, tunaweza sema tu mzee kaugua kisukari pengine, hiyo ni kawaida. Lakini sasa ile kwamba kuna ule kwamba ufuatiliaji kama vile tuliona upande wakati ule wa hayati marehemu mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki, wakati alipougua, Wakenya walikuwa hawana wasiwasi, wanaelewa nini kinaendelea. But kule kubanabana alafu hafla ndo yatokee yanayotokea, unajua kunakuwa na maswali, itakuwa ni ngumu sana kuweza kumanage hizo akili. Kimtazamo wangu mimi kama msimamo, unaona, so watu wana sometimes opportunity maybe, kimtazamo wangu. So katika hiyo hali ni kushindwa kwa serikali kuweza kumanage, kwa sababu jambo la kupangwa haraka haraka, yani kupangwa pasipokuwa na mipango thabiti.
Wa those people risky. Msimamo ni kuuliza, nauliza kwani hao watu walikuwa wanaonekana ni kama wanaleta fujo ili wa serikali ifanye kile ilifanya? Were those people that uncontrollable, like ni kama walikuwa wanataka kuharibu vitu ama kwani ilikuwa maandamano ili wapige risasi?
Unajua hii kama unanielewa Njiru, ni kama nishtukizi. Wengi kule kubanwa kwa maneno, unajua wengine wanasema mfano, yani nitasema hivi, wengine wanasema haikuwa jana, ilikuwa juzi. Unajua kumanage hiyo hulka ama hizo semi ambazo zinazagaa akilini mwa wengi, wengine bado wanaamini kwamba hii haijakuwa India. Unajua kuna hivyo. Lakini kama kuna ufuatiliaji mzuri kutoka ile siku amepelekwa, ufuatiliaji wa mzee, yani kuna mambo ya kupora wanja mpaka Mungu ameweza kumchukua, Wakenya wameweti, ni saa tungeona pia kwamba kuna hii hii kubeba. Mimi nimeona hata geti ya parliament ikisukuma kabla ya Kasarani.
Hata
Sasa
wangekuwa na mpangilio, aidha wangepanga watu ili kwa street,
lakini sasa unajua ndo hapo nasema ndo katika hiyo hali Julia, nitisimzi haya mambo yamepangwa haraka. Pengine anaweza nikasema serikali ndio alisema hapana, hatuwezi hold na hii kitu for long, lakini kuna njia ambazo zinazungumzwa ili kuweza kupunguza ile hamaki, lakini pia vile vile kuficha uaibu. Sasa ni mambo yamepangwa haraka haraka yatimie tu. Unajua jambo la kupanga haraka haraka na haulimaanishi haliko ndani ya moyo wako, hakuna kweli ndani yake. Mungu si dhalimu eti. Ndio hapo mnaposema kwamba bwana akipapasa mahali panaanguka, kila linapopapasa mahali kunaanguka, kwa sababu hakuna kweli hapo ndani. Mimi nitaachia hapo, asante.
Yeah, that was bad. Hiyo ilikuwa mbaya. Sasa unaona, imagine imagine the way the airport was bleached. That was bad, Jiru, hiyo ni mbaya. Ni mbaya even for our country. It was a bad thing. And you see mobs when they are mobs can be uncontrollable. So there should have been a better planning on the part of the government. Na sasa mimi nashangaa, muniambie kesho kutakuwaje? Kesho wanaenda Nyayo Stadium. Has the government upped their game, or are they going to kill more people?
Lakini mimi nasema hivi, kimtazamo wangu nikiwaaga hapa, nitafunga kwa kusema hivi, Mungu ana sababu na lengo siku zote, na nina imani kwamba legacy ya mzee na maisha ya mzee yataendelea haswa kuanzia hiyo kesho. Ombi langu, naungana na kaka huyu alikuwa hapa Eli, kwamba kupatikane sauti ambayo itashika tena mashiko ya Wakenya, yani itashika haswa mashiko ya Wakenya, ili kuvivaa rasmi hivi viatu vya mwenda zake baba huyu wa demokrasia na mageuzi. So kwangu mimi nitasema hivi, siku ya kufa nyani siku zote miti huteleza. Nafasi hii ya kipekee ni nafasi ambayo inaweza badilisha kiuhakika haswa mtazamo mzima wa siasa yetu, kutokana na haswa na mambo yanavyokwenda haswa katika taifa letu. So kupatikane sauti ambayo hakika itashika haswa mashiko ya wengi, sauti ambayo haitakuwa na kubanabana, sauti ambayo itaweka vitu paruanja bila uoga, sauti ambayo itajitolea kama haswa huyu mwenda zake. Nadhani hapo tutaweza kubadilisha kwa haraka haswa. Mambo yanaweza badilika haswa tofauti kabisa, kwa sababu kwa sasa hivi najiuliza swali kama msimamo, kuondoka kwa mzee ama kuondoka kwa Raila, nani amegain, nani amelose? Hilo swali najiuliza haswa mimi msimamo. Je, ni walioko kwenye madaraka ama ni wale hawako nje ya madaraka, wako nje ya madaraka? Nani amegain katika hiki kipindi, na nani ana wasiwasi sasa? Kwa hivyo, kwa hiyo hali nadhani change ndio mwanzo tumeanza hapa mabadiliko. Kama kutakuwa na sauti itakayoshika mashiko, nadhani Wakenya wengi wataflow pande huo, kwa sababu tunahitaji mageuzi. La mwisho, tusijisahau, tukamwacha huyu nyani akarudi mitini, maana itakuwa ngumu sasa tena, kwa sababu yuko jangwani. Sasa tungangane hapo jangwani. Mimi nitaachia hapo ndugu zangu, for today, nikiendelea kuomboleza, maana sometimes inakuwa ngumu, najizuia, lakini sometimes mtu kama umembeba kwa muda moyoni inakuwa ngumu kutoka, kwa sababu tumesimama na mzee muda mrefu. So jambo hili limetamasha kila mtu, so ni jambo la kawaida la kiungu, kwa sababu lipo, lakini sometimes naumiza haswa kwa shujaa kama huyu. Maombi yangu ni kwamba na imani kwamba kutapatikana sauti ambayo itakuwa na tija. tija haswa itakoshika mashiko. Na in fact Gachagua na hii opportunity, niachane tu na hii kitu ya kubeba roho ya ulafi hii kwamba akiondoana nayo akizagaa, ana opportunity nzuri haswa ya kuvivaa hivi viatu, lakini yawe na sura ya utaifa, si roho ya ulafi na kusimama sehemu moja. Mimi ndio yangu ya leo, asanteni.
Hey, vacation next week, Lisa. 5 days. Nice. Big win for your alma mater. Thanks. Congrats, bud. How you? No steak. Ted.
Ladies and
Probably with due respect.
Jiru, what are you looking for? Mimi naenda zangu.
Haya, endelea.
Lakini ukienda Julia, umeona hiyo roho ya uoga iliyomzagaa. Anyway, acha niachie Julia, mimi acha nikapumzika, lakini roho ya uoga.
Nani huyo? Sikuwa naona nani, macho yangu inangi vizuri. Nani huyo mlikuwa mnacheza hapo?
Ni Murkomen.
Oh, huyo ni Murkomen. Unaona, si nimekwambia hii serikali ni potovu, imepotea, has no order. Hata hawezi manage high school moja. Ruto na Murkomen
haijiamini.
Unaona mama hata shule moja ya vijana tu, shule tu, Ruto akuwe headmaster na Murkomen deputy, hiyo shule inaweza kaanguka, nakwambia. Can you believe? I mean, I don't know, tulishikwa na bahati baya gani na ama msiba mgani tukajipata mikononi ya hawa watu. I don't know who bewitched Kenya that we found ourselves in the hands of these thugs from the bush.
Pesa hadui, pesa hakuna mtu mwingine hapo, hadui pesa.
So let me ask, Murkomen alikuwa ameenda India kufanya nini? Let me ask. Niulize walikuwa na, you see, India was supposed to be for the family members, close friends, and possibly member ODM members. Yeah, right? Alafu serikali iwapokee hapa Kenya ikishafanya mpangilio mzuri wa security na kila kitu. Come on. If they are able to manage Gen Z and the protests, they could have managed that at a JKA. They could have prevented anybody from entering. Na wangepeana mpangilio, waambie Munas tukutane mahali fulani. The body will be found in Kasarani. Can we all meet there na tupange line tuingie tujipange vizuri? I mean, that was an embarrassment. Hiyo ilikuwa aibu kubwa sana 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 sana. I couldn't believe that I was watching my own country, people inside an airport, international airport, and landing and takeoff was stopped for 2 hours. An international airport. I think even planes were diverted to Mombasa. That was bad. And then only to hear kuna people have been shot in Kasarani. For what? Do Kenyan police just shoot for the sake of shooting? I hope hiyo si ukweli. I just hope hiyo si ukweli. So mimi, I just hope that Kenyans maintain peace, Njiru, na msimamo. And kama nilivyosema, I pray for calm and peace in my motherland as Kenyans mourn the fallen hero, Raila Amolo Odinga. Santeni. Aluta. Continua.
Sawa. Nasikia kuna watu I think ni kama mwili ililetwa. So maybe I can show you kidogo. I don't know hapo walikuwa wanaenda wapi.
Where is this Njiro now? Kasarani.
Hapa sijui ni wapi.
Ama
Hii ni Nyayo,
stadium. Ama
si
wamesha
Nyayo ama?
ameamkia Nyayo stadium.
Hii ni Nyayo.
Wameamkia mapema kabla watu wamerauka kwa watu wafike. Hapa ni mchana. Kwa nini saa ngapi sasa hivi msimamo?
Hapo si ni Kasarani.
Hapa ni Kasarani, ile ya mwanzo hii, si ya sasa hivi kwamba wanaelekea Nyayo. Hii ni ya Kasarani. Naona kuna mheshimiwa hapo. Hii ni ya Kasarani.
Hapo ni kama walifungua jeneza.
Walifungua jeneza hukuona.
Never sue the other driver after a car accident. There's a better way to get paid a way bigger check without having to go.
Let's start the order of prayer, led by Imam Kula, followed by Major Father Kikwech, and finally Colonel Reverend more excellent than these. Do not deprive us from the reward of the supplication we just made in our favor, and do not cause us to divert after our death. We ask you using your most beautiful names. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty and ever-living God, we come before you this solemn hour, our hearts heavy with sorrow, as we receive the body of your Son, right on the soul, his family, with your unfailing love. Comfort our nation in this moment of mourning, and strengthen us to work together in peace, unity, and hope. Receive him, O Lord, into the company of your saints, where there is no more pain, no more sorrow, but life everlasting. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Spirit. With us as a nation, that we will be strengthened in you, and watched by you, and increased by you. To you, we commit the soul of your servant now departed,
that Heavenly Father, together with angels, you may grant him everlasting kingdom. In Jesus Christ, our Lord. I request that we maintain our positions as our guide you. His Excellency, His Excellency, the Prime Minister. Head of Public Service, followed by Cabinet Secretaries. Head of Public Service first.
Yep. So let me get this straight. You're telling me I don't have to spend countless hours consolidating our company's financial data anymore?
kiongozi wetu, tumepoteza baba wetu wa taifa, lakini kwangu mimi nimepoteza baba yangu. Najua ile wakati ya siasa watu walikuwa wanasema baba Raila Amolo Odinga, lakini kando na siasa, mimi alikuwa rafiki yangu sana, wa karibu sana. Na mnajua wakati jana tulipata news ya kwamba tumepoteza mzee, Kenya yote inaomboleza. Na sisi kama wakaji wa Simbishu, wakaji wa Eldoret, wakaji wa Rift Valley, tumekubaliana ya kwamba wale wengine wote wakiomboleza, najua baba alikuwa mtu kwa kila mtu, na baba alikuwa kiongozi mwenye ameleta mabadiliko mengi sana Kenya yetu. Kando na kushindana maneno ya urais, katiba tuko naye sasa ni yeye alituletea, na mambo mengi alibadilisha katika nchi yetu. Na kando na hiyo, sisi wote tumepitia tukijaribu kutafuta uongozi, hakuna mtu hajafanya kazi na mzee Raila Amolo Odinga. Ndio tumekubaliana na gavana wetu wa Uasin Gishu, najua wako safari. Tumesema ya kwamba wale wakiomboleza kule Nairobi na wakiomboleza kule Kisumu na wakiomboleza Kenya mzima, pia sisi hapa Uasin Gishu tumekubaliana ya kwamba pia tutaomboleza kifyetu, na tutafute namna ya kusanya watu wetu wasitapakae, kwa sababu niliona jana watu wengi walikuwa wanazunguka kule town wakiomboleza. So tumekubaliana ya kwamba najua watu wengi wale wataweza kwenda Kisumu ama Bondo ni wachache. Tunajua kesho watakuwa Kasarani.
Is private student loan debt wrecking your life? You really need to talk to Why Refi. Why Refi refinance.
Today being a Wednesday, it's a sad Wednesday. It's a sad day for Kenyans, and it's a sad day for the people I represent, working men and women across the globe, and more so in Kenya. Raila has not been only for Kenya. Raila Amolo Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga is a man who is celebrated all over the world. He managed to come to Accra, Ghana to address African workers under the auspices of the Organization of the African Trade Union Unit. He has always been very close to me, has given me minimum support since I took over court in 2001. And he has had a lot of trust in me, a lot of respect. I was with him in his office before he left for India for treatment till late in the evening. And all of us as Kenyans, we knew he would go for treatment, particularly me who knew he was going to go for treatment and come back alive. Last year in March, we shared a hospital, me and him. He introduced me to one of the best doctors in the world. It's unfortunate we have lost Raila Amolo Odinga, who doubles up to me as my brother-in-law as well. He has been a fighter. We teamed up with him for a long time since those days of Lumumba Institute. We have lost him, but his death should unify Kenya, should bring Kenya together, and politicians of Kenya should come together unitedly. Immediately after Azimio in his house,
that is what I wanted us to say. Atuori anasema kifo cha Raila Odinga kinafaa kutuleta pamoja. I don't think he understands what he says. How do we come together while we are people of kuna wale wanaiba, kuna wale wanafanyia wengine mabaya. I think the best statement was kifo cha Raila Odinga kinafaa kitufunze tukue na mienendo mizuri. Coming together has nothing to do with the rescuing nation, because he is saying both thieves and good people to come together. So we cannot do that.
Grow your tax career one customer at a time. Earn additional income while you grow.
Na mtazamaji, turejelee taarifa ya awali ambao kidogo sauti ilitupiga chenga. Maisha ya kisiasa ya Raila Odinga yalikuwa hayatabiriki na yenye wafuasi wengi, na safari yake ya mwisho haikuwa tofauti. Jukwaa la watu mashuhuri katika uwanja wa ndege wa kimataifa wa Jomo Kenyatta lilikuwa limeandaliwa kwa umakini mno kwa ajili ya mapokezi ya kitaifa ya mwili waliokuwa waziri mkuu Raila Odinga. Lakini nje ya vizuizi, mpangilio tofauti ulikuwa ukichipuka. Mwanahabari wetu Vera Mora amekuwa akifuatilia msafara huo moja kwa moja, na sasa anaarifu punde tu ndege iliyobeba mwili wa waziri mkuu wa zamani ilipowasili, itifaki zilizowekwa zilikiukwa na hisia za wafuasi wa Odinga. Tukio lililopangwa kuwa la kitaifa na la heshima liligeuka kwa haraka sana na kuwa la wananchi ambao walidai haki yao. Tupata maelezo kutoka kwake Vera Mora.
Maisha ya Raila Odinga, hasa safari yake ya kisiasa, haikuwa ya kutabirika hata kidogo. Vivyo hivyo, safari yake ya mwisho ilikiuka ratiba na mipangilio. Saa 12 asubuhi, eneo la watu mashuhuri katika uwanja wa ndege wa JKIA lilikuwa limepangwa kwa umakini. Ndani ya vizuizi, bendi ya jeshi ilikuwa ikipima ana zake, na wageni waalikwa walianza kuwasili kwa ajili ya kupokea mwili wa waziri mkuu wa zamani Raila Odinga. Lakini nje, mdundo tofauti ulianza kusikika. Wafuasi wake wa dhati walikuwa wakiimba kwa lugha ya Dholuo kile wanachokiita weyo, wakiomboleza kifo cha baba, kiongozi wa jamii ya Luo, waziri mkuu wa zamani na mwana wa makamu wa kwanza wa rais. Saa 3:35 asubuhi, ndege iliyobeba mwili wa Raila ilitua.
In honor of the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga, it is RAO 001. The call sign for this aircraft is RAO 001.
Kilichofuata hakikuwa mapokezi tu, bali wafuasi wa Odinga kuchukua makaribisho ya mwao. Ghafla, kana kwamba walikuwa wakirudia hafla ya Januari 30 mwaka 2018, siku ambayo Raila Odinga aliapishwa kama rais wa wananchi. Umati ulisongea ndege hiyo na kumlaki Odinga. Ndani ya dakika chache walizunguka jeneza lake na kusitisha maandalizi ya kijeshi yaliyokuwa yakifanywa kwa ajili ya mapokezi rasmi ya Rais William Ruto pamoja na rais wa zamani Uhuru Kenyatta. Viongozi wengine pia walijikuta pweke, huku baadhi yao wakikimbilia usalama wao. Ni dhahiri kuwa mfalme wa uhamasishaji aliweza kuhamasisha hata baada ya kufariki. Wakati huu, wafuasi wa Odinga walichukua usukani. Kama msimu wa siasa nchini, wafuasi wa Raila Odinga waliandamana naye sako kwa bako. Njiani, naibu rais Kithure Kindiki na viongozi wengine walijaribu kurejesha utulivu, lakini hotuba zao za ushawishi ziliambulia patupu.
Mkubali watoto, mama na family, tafadhali wafanyie heshima zao kabisa.
Baadaye gavana wa Homa Bay Gladys Wanga alipozungumza, ndipo hali ilibadilika. Ghafla nderemo zilirudi na safari kuelekea Kasarani ikaanza.
Baba Nino, Jerry, watimu kama wakao wangu, zinasi, wakenu wangu Kasarani.
Safari ambayo ilipaswa kuchukua dakika 15 ilichukua saa 2:30, kwani ilifika saa 6 mchana ndipo msafara huo ulifika katika barabara ya Mombasa Road nje uwanja wa ndege wa JKIA. Msafara huo ulichukua saa nyingine 2 kufika Kasarani. Safari ya mwisho ya Raila Odinga itaandikwa katika vitabu vya historia. Msafara uliosimamisha jiji la Nairobi, kuanzia kutekwa nyara kwa uwanja wa ndege wa kimataifa wa JKIA, barabara ya Expressway hadi barabara ya Mombasa Road. Ibada ya kitaifa ya kumbukumbu itafanyika katika uwanja wa Nyayo siku ya Ijumaa, Oktoba tarehe 17 mwaka 2025. Mwili wake utasafirishwa hadi mjini Kisumu siku ya Jumamosi, Oktoba tarehe 18 na kuzikwa Jumapili, Oktoba tarehe 19 nyumbani kwake Bondo, kaunti ya Siaya. Kwa sasa Kenya inaomboleza si kiongozi tu, bali alama ya matumaini. Vera Mura, KTN.
So that is what happened.
Mtazamaji, tupate mapumziko mafupi mno.
Pivotal. That was extremely pivotal. That was extremely pivotal. Mapokezi ya kofia.
Monday.com, the opposite of any work platform we tried in the past. We tried other work management platforms, not naming names.
Sometimes history folds itself into small, ordinary things, like a white cape.
That's right. On this day, it wasn't just cloth and thread, but a nation's memory.
Winnie Odinga held it tight, the way a child holds on to the last thing left of a parent, a final bridge between the living and the legend.
Grace Ganga with the story.
When the plane carrying Raila Odinga's body touched down at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, one image silenced a nation. Winnie Odinga clutching her father's white cap tightly, her eyes heavy with grief. It was the saddest photo on the internet this day. Yet, within that image was an entire story of legacy, love, and the weight of history. Yet, in another deep symbolic dark moment, a photo that got any emotional. Winnie handed the cap to her mother, Ida Odinga. It was quiet, dignified, almost sacred. Perhaps it was her way of saying, I couldn't bring back the man you loved the most, but I brought what he treasured. The cap that had graced history now rested in the hands of the woman who had stood beside him through it all. The detentions, the campaigns, the lonely nights of uncertainty.
Mungu amsaidie apate hiyo kiti ambaye anataka.
For Ida, it wasn't just about a fabric. It was memory. It was years of sacrifice stitched into one small familiar item. For decades, Raila Amolo Odinga's white cap was more than a fashion signature. It was his silent trademark, a companion in moments that shaped Kenya's destiny. He wore it during the clamor of multi-party democracy, at rallies that shook regimes, and on the day Kenya promulgated the 2010 Constitution, moments etched deep in the nation's political memory. To his supporters, the cap symbolized focus and resilience. To his family, it was a familiar comfort, part of the man they knew beyond the podiums and crowds. So, when Raila breathed his last in India, Winnie carried that white cap with her. In a moment that broke hearts across continents, she gently placed it on his casket, as if it was to crown him one last time. And when the body arrived home, she held it close, the way a daughter might hold her father's hand, refusing to let it go. The gesture was wordless, but thundered across the country. For Winnie, it was both a farewell and a promise, a bridge between generations, between struggle and continuation. Raila's white cap may have marked his presence at every major turning point of Kenya's story, but in his absence, it now marks the continuation of his spirit in the women who carry his name, his courage, and his dream forward. Because sometimes a single photo can hold an entire story of a man, a family, and a nation learning to say goodbye. Grace Nganga KTN.
Thanks, Grace. The Orange Democratic Movement has picked Siaya Senator.
So this one is cool. You basically connect your Shopify account and it's able to pull in your product catalog. And then from there, you can actually choose the exact product that you want to demonstrate. So think of it as like a TV ad with a catalog component where I can choose on the Roku app, and immediately it's going to send me a text that comes from Roku, and it just says, hey, basically you just watch this, and we're going to want to make sure that you get this. And here's where you can create that. So you can create your background color, you can sort of customize the thing. It might be subscribe, shop now, whatever it is. And then you can add a logo or an image in the back. And you can customize the same overlay here. You press OK, and then they get a text message.
The next 3 days. Mungu atusaidie. So please, kama uja subscribe channel yetu, nitaomba usubscribe. Mimi sina la ziada. I will end the podcast until tomorrow. So please, good night. Shalom.